It's always a reason to be positive.
Yeah, I found out 17 yesterday, bro.
Shalom, Israel. Hope everybody's doing twab. Shout out. Well, first of all, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shout out Sword of Truth family everywhere. Shout out to Kawakab. I know we had a really good class last night. Shout out SOW Houston, Rochester, New York, and Virginia. Hope brothers are doing well. Sisters too. We'll be having our Feast of Tabernacles on September 30th and October 1st. Hope y'all can make it. We'll sit back here and once again and send the information. Just let us know if y'all are interested. I know Houston has all the information ready for their camp. But hope to see everybody down there to build and bond and work on our brotherhood and come together and just enjoy each other's company. But without further ado, we're about to send our prayers up today and send our prayers to the Heavenly Father and then get into a continuation of our class soon afterwards. So, Amajim Wapanya, Yerushalayim.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai.
Hahawa. Nathan Lanawa. Award. Zayawam. The water. Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us light this day. Thanks, so be it.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai.
Hahawa. Nathan Lanawa. Rayach. Nayach. The water.
Aman. Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives us the sweet savor. Thank you, so be it.
Amanja Wapanya, Yerushalayim.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai.
Barakatah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai.
Hahawa. Nathan Lanawa. Hashabbat. Ba'Shalom. The water. Aman.
Bless you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai that gives to us the Sabbath in peace. Thank you, so be it.
Psalms 121. Anasya, Ayanyamya, Hahaya, Ma'aya, Yabu'a, Isaiah, Yabu'a, Ma, Yahweh, Sha'isha, Shemaiah, Wa'arataza, La'a, Yonathan, Lamawat, Regalia, Yala'a, Nawam, Shashamaya, Hana, Yala'a, Nawam, Wala'a, your son, Shashuamor, Yasharala, Yahweh, Shemoah, Yahweh, Tazariah, Ayah, Yanyamya, Yad, Hashemash, Yala'a, Hakaya, Bayawam, Wala'a, Halabana, Balayala, Yahweh, Yashimoah, Makor, Rai, Yashimoah, Napasha, Yahweh, Yashimoah, Hawalakia, Wabu'aya, Ma'aitha, Wa'ai,
Aman. Psalms 121 in English. I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from Yahweh, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Yasharala shall neither slumber nor sleep. Yahweh is thy keeper. Yahweh is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. Yahweh shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Yahweh shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. Amen.
Israelite Credo. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Elohayim, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Elohayim, Yahweh, Echad. Shema Yasharala, Yahweh, Elohayim, Yahweh, Echad.
Israelite Credo in English. Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 4. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord.
Lord's Prayer.
Abanawa,
Shabbat Shemayah, Kodesh, Hayah, Shemka, Yahweh, Malak with Kaf, Thaba'ah, Ratazaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ba'arataza, Kawa, Hayah, Bashemayah, Netanyahu, Lacham, Kol, Yawam, Wasalachanahu, Chal Wathinahu, Kasalachanahu, Chal Wathinahu, Wala'ah, Thabiyatnahu, Badasai 1, Abo, Hawashanahu, Mayan, Right, Kaya, Lakam, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wahathapa'araf, La'ai, Walam, Amen.
Lord's Prayer in English. Matthew chapter 6, verse 9. After this manner, therefore, pray ye. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. 10 Commandments. La'ayahayah, Lakah, Alahayah, Achayah, Panya.
Thou shalt have no other powers before me.
Number 2. La'ah, Ta'ayna, Lakah, Pasal, Wala'ah, Ta'aybada.
Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, nor serve them.
Number 3. La'ah, Falaqwacha, Sham, Yahweh, Bashawa.
Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy power in vain.
Number 4. Zakar, Hayawam, Hashabat, Laquadashwa.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
Number 5. Kabad, Abaka, Ya'amaka.
Honor thy father and thy mother.
Number 6. La'ah, Tharataza.
Thou shalt not kill, murder.
Number 7. La'ah, Thana'ah.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
Number 8. La'ah, Thagana.
Thou shalt not steal.
Number 9. La'ah, Ta'ayna. Shakwar.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
Number 10. La'ah, Thachamat. Ko. Ashera. La'raika.
Thou shalt not covet anything which is thy neighbor's.
B'Shem Yahushai.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahushai that gives to us the law.
Israel Yeshaviim.
Everybody seated?
Once again, shalom everybody online. Hope everybody's doing Tawab today. We're going to get into this. Last week we went over a lot of the trials that Jeremiah had to go through in trying to get Israel to amend their ways, to change their ways. And as you can see from the reading, it's very difficult. And there was a significant consequence that Jeremiah, there was a toll on Jeremiah with the resistance and blowback that the leadership, the high priest, the prophets, the princes, the kingship constantly was bombarding Jeremiah, making life difficult, beating him, throwing him in jail, harassing him, banning him. We're going to read later on today that they were banning him from the damn temple lot. He couldn't go to the temple no more. He had to sit back and have Baruch send messages for him. And they like, get this guy out of here. So he was constantly getting attacked and harassed. Well, that's later on. He's getting harassed, and to bring context to this, King Jehoiakim came into power in 609 BC. He didn't get uprooted out of his power until 598. So this guy had a long reign of just making life extremely difficult for anybody that stood up for truth and righteousness' sake. And then after that, there was 11 more years of chaos under King Zedekiah. So it was 22 years of just pure resistance to the message the Most High was trying to give the nation. But on the flip side, what we're going to read about today, like the title of class is the Most High's constant mercies and pleading for Israel to submit. The Most High gave us multiple years to amend our ways. He was begging us, just make the adjustments I'm asking for. And the Most High will sit back here and show mercy on the people. But we just didn't listen. We couldn't get it through our thick skull. And we're going to try to paint as clear of a picture even more to kind of show the dynamic and the mercy the Most High was giving Israel. We're going to kind of look at it from an internal perspective. And then we're going to kind of show how the Most High was showing mercy to us even through King Nebuchadnezzar and how he was sitting back here and establishing his onslaught on the entire territory called the Levant, and how the Most High was giving us chance after chance after chance before Babylon fixated their eyes on Israel. It'll make more sense as we continue in class, but the first chapter we're going to go into today is Jeremiah chapter 27. We're going to read the entire chapter, but I'm going to need you, Kariah, to help me get started with this process.
Kariah, Shah Shabbatah, Bana Shah, Banya Shahala.
Kariah, Shah Shabbatah, Bana Shah, Banya Shahala.
Hey, Merchant! What?
Yahweh Hashem Yahshua.
How about Shem Yahshua Brakatham?
All right. Okay, so let's get started.
Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 1. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word unto Jeremiah from the Most High, saying, Thus saith the Most High, thus saith the Lord to me, make thee bonds and yokes, and put them upon thy neck.
Listen to what Jeremiah is telling Jehoiakim. This is early. This is before Jeremiah got kicked out the temple and got kicked away from actually doing his job amongst the princes and the prophets and the Levites and the king. He said, get this message to Jehoiakim to get your bonds and yokes ready. That doesn't feel good. Just get your little neckties. You ever see those old slave images where you had the tie and your tie was one of the person on?
Yeah.
He says, get these bonds and these ties ready for you. Get your chains ready. Read on.
Verse 3. And send them to the king of Edom, and to the king of Moab, and to the king of the Ammonites, and to the king of Tyrus, and to the king of Zidon, by the hand of the messengers which come to Jerusalem unto Zedekiah king of Judah.
So what Jeremiah is telling Jehoiakim, I'm putting it online. He's telling Jehoiakim to let all the other kings know that you guys are all on notice, and all these people in all these nations, Ammon, Tyre, Zidon, Edom, Moab, they represent and encompass the territory called the Levant. Okay? So the Most High is saying all these people that are part of this Levant, this area in Palestine, get ready because you're all going to be subject to the king of Babylon. Okay? The whole territory is going to be subject to Babylon. Now, just keeping things in context, at the time, where it says in the beginning of Jehoiakim's kingdom, that was around 609 BC. Who had control of the Levant back then? It was Egypt. Egypt had control of the Levant. They wrestled it away from Assyria as Assyria was losing power in the district. Okay? I want to read this real quick to kind of give a little idea of how that happened. It says, as the Assyrian Empire floundered during the slow conquest by Media and Babylonia mentioned above. So what was happening, I mentioned this before, the Assyrian Empire encompassed all the way from Egypt all the way back down to the land of the Medes. Over constant wars with Babylon, constant wars with the Median Empire, it started weakening their territory, weakening their military strength. So what ended up happening is they had to focus their attention on these two upcoming countries, Babylon and Media, and their focus had to go there more than maintaining the rest of the Levant, which was going towards the south, from Syria downward. So as they were weakening their position, Egypt was strengthening their position under Pharaoh Necho. We read about how Necho was sitting back here and he ran through Josiah to get to Carchemish to help assist the king of Assyria as they're fighting the Medes and the Babylonians. This kind of ties it all together again. Okay? As the Assyrian Empire floundered during the slow conquest by Media and Babylonia, mentioned above, the Levantine states, which is the Levant states, found themselves free of the Assyrian yoke for the first time in more than a century. Pharaoh Psammetichus I, followed by his son Necho II, took the opportunity to reinstate Egypt's position as a dominant power over the Levant. So by the time we got to 609 BC, Egypt had control over Levant, and that's all those countries in these different colors online. Okay, but the prophecy now in Jeremiah 27 was to Jehoiakim to let him and all the other kings of the Levant know that Egypt's reign was ending. This is the prophecy. Egypt's reign is ending. Babylon's on the way. Prepare yourself to serve Babylon. At this point, the Most High was already done with our antics. And because he was done with our antics, his mindset was like this. If you're not going to serve me, you will serve somebody else. And maybe in the process of serving somebody else, you'll realize that serving the Most High is better than serving the nations. That's the Most High's hope. But once again, the original plan, the original intention the Most High had for Israel was just to serve Babylon. It was not to be exiled and taken out of the land. It was to serve Babylon and to keep them humble. But our rebellion escalated the prophecy for it to be worse. So, read verse 3 again.
Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 3. And send them to the king of Edom, and to the king of Moab, and to the king of the Ammonites, and to the king of Tyrus, and to the king of Zidon, by the hand of the messengers which come to Jerusalem unto Zedekiah, king of Judah.
So he said, I want this message to be delivered to all these kings all the way until Zedekiah is the king. This is a future prophecy. Nobody at the time of Jehoiakim would have thought that King Zedekiah was going to be the king of Judah anytime soon. So this is a prophecy saying that, listen, let all the kings, let Edom, let Tyre, let Zidon, let Moab, let Ammon, let all these people know that they're all going to be servants. And also let Zedekiah know that he's going to be king and he's going to be subject to Babylon as well. Read on.
Verse 4. And command them to say unto their masters, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel. Thus shall ye say unto your master.
So now he's like, now that I let everybody know in the Levant that they're going to be servants, he says, now I want you to talk to Israel. Read on.
Verse 5. I have made the earth, the man and the beast that are upon the ground, by my great power and by my outstretched arm.
So this is the Most High talking about his power and how he's going to use his power to keep us subject to him. Read on.
And have given it unto whom it seemed meet unto me.
So the Most High is like, listen, this is my world, this is my kingdom, this is my dominion, and I'm going to give power to whoever I deem fit to give power. He's like, listen, you didn't respect me, the power of all things, enough to respect me and appreciate me and to lock into me. And because you don't respect me and what I'm bringing to the table, I'm going to give the power to somebody else, whoever I think is right for it. Now hold this and go to Daniel's chapter, it's either 2 or 4. I think it's 4. Yes, it's 4 and 17. Give me Daniel's 4 and 17.
Daniel chapter 4 and verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men.
Now, in Daniel's 4 is when the tide starts to turn, and the realization is that Israel lost their opportunity. Israel lost that opportunity to be in power and to have control over the world, so to speak. He says, because Israel lost that opportunity, now the power is going to be invested and dedicated into the kingdom of men. Now the rest of the nations are going to get their opportunity to thrive. And then it says, and give it to whomsoever he will, and read on.
And setteth up over it the basis of men. Meaning, now, because Israel didn't respect it, I'm going to let the basis of men run this earth and give all these base level nations an opportunity to thrive.
We're talking about the rat, cat, snake eaters.
Yes. And he lets you know in Daniel's 2 that Babylon was the highest caliber of these base level nations.
Yeah.
So you had the base level nation of Babylon that was referred to as gold in regards to the caliber of their nation. Then it goes to Persian and Mede, which was silver. Then it goes to Greek, which was copper. It was copper, right?
Yeah, Greek was brass.
Brass. That was the word. Brass. Then we went down to like clay and iron.
Legs of
miry clay and iron, which is some base ass minerals. Listen, I hate to go off topic, and Michelle, I'm gonna answer your question in a second. I was watching about the filthy things that the Romans did. The Romans, it was the worst thing ever. The Romans would all be in a restroom. They were like stools, right? So it was like 15 people would be taking the restroom at the same time. That's bad. But it was worse how they wiped themselves. They would share a loofah.
No way.
Listen, that was what destroyed my whole outlook. Listen, they would have a loofah, wipe themselves, and give it to the next guy to use a loofah. And then they would use a loofah, and then they might rub it in a little water like this and give it to the next guy. And then they use a loofah.
Come on.
I'm out of here, man. I'm out of here. That's it. It was on YouTube. I said, I'm cutting this off. I'm done for the day.
That's a horror story.
Loafers carry all kind of bacteria. A sponge? It was a sponge on a stick. It was a sponge on a stick.
You got me, bro?
I'm done, bro.
Hey, pass that down.
Hey, pass it down. I gotta get out the toilet.
Remus.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Listen, why don't you just bring your own? Can you bring your own loafer? No, there was a community loafer, bro.
Too intelligent, though.
That's my point.
But they
had the aqueducts. The Roman aqueducts.
You know, it don't matter how clean that water is.
No, listen. That water is. Then they said, well, they probably put vinegar in there. I said, you're making that up. That's a fib. You're fibbing. Because there ain't no proof. They didn't put that vinegar in there.
That writer was Italian. Yeah, that's how he's trying to defend him. Hey, listen, when you go to Venice right now, Italy, all the sewages go into the little canals.
For the gondolier?
Yeah. That's it. So it smells like poop, right?
That's horrible.
He's supposed to be on a date.
Yeah, bro. Oh man, you can't be adverse to smells and do that.
Yeah, he's supposed to be on a date in the gondola, And this guy, you swimming
guy
through,
to live, man.
Yeah, you swimming through poop.
He's on top like this. He like this. What's he doing?
You know, because they built those aqueducts, just on that point, they built those aqueducts knowing that the tide would rise and fall.
Yeah.
So the idea was that as the tide rises, then the sewage would actually pull back out to the ocean. That was the hope. That was the goal.
Listen, that hope ain't always awesome, man. That's not great hope. Listen, Mashaba, just to answer your question, I just went on and typed in the Levant and went into different images, and I did a little scrolling out, and that was what I got. I just went online and just looked at the Levant, and they gave me a bunch of different images of the kingdoms, but that whole southern territory is a Levant. But it isn't. I didn't find it on the atlas in a book. I just went online to find it. Okay. But yeah, so this is the basis of men the Most High was talking about. Now it's time to give these other nations an opportunity. And the reality is, the Jews, Jehoiakim, couldn't accept this reality. Now the nations are going to sit back here and have their turn to keep us under subjection. Because this is the prophecy now in Jeremiah 27. The Most High was trying to get us to accept this condition. You got to think about this. Initially, we were just supposed to change our lives. Get humble, change, stop serving other idols, and the Most High will be there for you. Now it's the issue is ratcheting up. You know what? Accept the fact that you're going to be servants. Prepare your mind. Get these shackles on your head. You're not going to get out of this situation. You're going to be in a trick bag for multiple decades, for multiple generations.
Well,
and prepare your mind for this.
Just want to get a scripture on that. Baruch chapter 4, verse 6. Baruch chapter 4, verse 6. It's not uncommon for the Most High to deliver us to our enemies once we activate His wrath and we provoke Him to wrath. Read that right there.
Baruch chapter 4 and verse 6. Ye were sold to the nations.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Not for your destruction.
It said, not for your destruction. Most High said, I could have just wiped you out and took you off the earth. He said, but instead, it was mercy that we would even be delivered to the nations as slaves. Read on.
But because ye moved the Most High to wrath,
Go ahead.
ye were delivered unto the enemies.
Go ahead.
For ye provoked him that made you by sacrificing unto devils, and not to the Most High.
And well, you know, Jeremiah was trying to convince Israel to go back to serving him.
Yep.
And we wouldn't put down the devils that we worship. We wouldn't put down the idols. We wouldn't put down whatever it is that we was giving ourselves into.
It was the idolatry. It was treating the poor like crap.
Yep.
It was taking advantage of the people. Remember the guy was sitting back here. He had to have his red wood, right?
Yep.
He had to have his red wood, his vermilion homes.
That's cedar.
It had cedar wood. He didn't care about what it took and the cost, because it was going to be on the people's backs.
In a recession.
In a recession, and that was the whole point. So it was treating the people wrong. It was the idolatry. It was the false prophets. We're going to read about. There was always somebody in Jehoiakim's ear giving him bad advice. He had a bunch of yes men, a bunch of guys telling him he's making the right choices. Everything's going to be okay. Don't listen to what the scriptures say. Don't listen to what the prophets are saying. It was constantly somebody in his ear pushing the wrong direction. And he said, because of this conglomerate effort, what did he say? It wasn't a conglomerate. It was what's the word he said?
Consensus.
A bunch of people. It was a conspiracy. He said, because of the conspiracy that's against the Most High.
Yeah, that's a conspiracy.
You know what? You all got to fall. But keep going. That was a perfect verse.
No, that was it. Just showing how the Most High said, He said you were delivered to the nations, not because for your destruction, but because you moved the Most High to wrath.
Come on.
All right.
Read verse 8. Read verse 8.
Verse 8. Ye have forgotten the everlasting power.
This is the point. Because we forgot the Most High, now slavery will make you remember the Most High.
Oh, yeah,
The thing about this is the same concept. We're going to be driving this for a point. There is a reason. Y'all brought it out, and it really brought out it really struck my thoughts. Listen, when Adam sinned before the Heavenly Father, and he chose idolatry over the Most High, what was the Most High's sentence to him? Who remembers? What was the Most High's sentence to Adam because he chose idolatry? Nobody remembers?
Says,
Man, this is not rocket science, y'all.
First be the ground.
No, well, it was
That's
one.
one of them.
That was one of them. He had to work. He had to be subject to work for the rest of his life.
Remember, everything grew by itself.
The sweat of thy brow. You know what? You know what keeps a person praying to the Most High?
Mindful.
You know what keeps a person mindful of the Heavenly Father? Hard damn labor. Every day, this ground ain't gonna cultivate itself.
Swing low,
Sweet chariot.
coming home to carry me.
Listen,
home.
when your back is on fire, and all you got some lidocaine, to stop on your back a little bit.
Nah, you got
That's what I'm saying.
some tobacco stalks. You chewing on some tobacco leaf, trying to take that pain off.
I'm just trying to bring it to now.
Yeah, I'm just.
I know. Listen. I don't give a care. I don't give a damn what nobody says. Tiger Balm doesn't solve the problem all the way out. Tiger Balm just kind of warms up the area out. It gets it loose enough to get it more damaged that day out.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong? Tiger Balm is not the answer, B. Listen, when you got sciatica, you can sit back here and pop all the damn pills you want. Listen, you don't feel that negative, nasty, gnarly ass pain down your leg out, and it ain't going nowhere. You know the worst part. It's almost like work with sciatica is better than resting. If you can't go to sleep with sciatica, I don't know if anybody has sciatica. When your stuff's really on fire, ain't no sleep, right?
No.
You might as well just walk it off, B.
Nah.
And get no sleep that night because work's waiting for you the next day. I know it. There's no relaxing unless you numb it up. You can't live off pills forever.
Biofreeze. No
That biofreeze don't do a bio damn thing when it comes to sciatica.
Everybody want that biofreeze.
That don't work with sciatica. It's under where the biofreeze works.
Yeah.
It's like you got layers of muscle.
It's too deep.
And then you got the nerves. Listen, the biofreeze might get 2 layers of skin out.
Yeah.
But you got that nerve is like 4 layers under it out. It ain't getting it.
Nope.
You feel good putting it on there.
Yeah, because it's cold and hot at the same time. You think you're getting something done for it, but it ain't. What am I explaining? The way the Most High broke rebellion, the Most High is like this, Adam. If you got time to venture into other gods, then the problem is you got too much time. And I'm going to have to pull all your time and attention off of your personal pursuits and keep you busy going to work. This is what the Most High does. That's one of the first major punishment he does to keep us right. What does the Most High say in Ecclesiastes when it talks about when your servant wants freedom? What's the answer to the servant that wants freedom? Y'all remember that one? Let's go there real quick. It talks about the servant that wants freedom. You got to put more fetters. You can look for fetters.
I think it's Ecclesiastes 30, is it?
It's in there. It's in that vicinity. We'll find it if we find fetters. It's 33. Ecclesiastes 33 and 20 and 20. I want to say 28, but it's a little
27,
further.
28?
Yeah. It's 27.
27, 28.
Yep. Let's do that. Read that, sir.
Come on. Ecclesiastes chapter 33 and verse 27. Send him to labor that he.
No, you got to go up 24.
24.
We gotta go 24, man.
24. Come on.
Yeah.
Ecclesiastes chapter 33 and verse 24. Fodder, a wand and burdens.
Fodder is what, Ak? Fodder, you give animals fodder. All he needs is some cornmeal, some water, and some cornmeal. That's it.
Some beans and rice.
That's enough.
Slop.
Well, let's listen. But the point is, we want to read this verse twice. Let's read it initially.
Fodder, a wand and burdens.
Listen, what's a wand for? Wand's to smack that animal out to keep him going right. Okay, read on.
And burdens.
Burdens is work and responsibilities. Animal was created on earth to serve man's needs. Right or wrong?
Con.
That's what it's called, beasts of burdens. What do you need cattle for? You need cattle to breed. You need cattle to sit back and work that land, till that land. You need animals for meat. Am I right or wrong?
Con.
Is there all this emotion? You might fail. You might like an animal here. I was reading about this guy that worked on a farm. He said half the animals were sold off for money. The other ones were kept to breed. The other ones were kept to sit back here and till the land. They sat back here and gave them trace minerals and vitamins to keep their bodies healthy, so that it'd be cheaper to give them trace minerals than to take them to the veterinarian every couple weeks. So they'd have animals for 6 to 9 months. They'd feed them, take care of them, give them minerals. This was about money, sustaining their lifestyle. It wasn't no deeper than that. So if you didn't take care of them right and they died, you lost money. This is how mankind looks at animals. Fodder, wine, burdens, read on,
are for the ass, and bread, correction, and work for the servant.
It's the same thing. Bread is fodder. Correction is the wand. Burdens is work for the servant. But you know who are servants? What's Leviticus 25 and 55 say? The children of Israel are servants unto me. So you know we make our value and our purpose in this world way bigger than what it is. Everybody sits back here, I was meant to be a star. I was special. You know, when I was born, I knew I was meant to be something.
A star fell.
Everybody talks that nonsense. I was important. You know, that when you was a child, baby boy, I knew you was gonna be special. When you was young, I knew you was gonna be special. A parent can say all they want, but the Most High is like, this little, you know what, is meant to sit back here and work and do what? I work and serve me and keep him busy so that he don't start giving his mind or her mind to what they want. I don't think we really understand that what being chosen to be servants are. Can somebody read that Leviticus 25 and 55 real quick? We're going back to this. Leviticus 25 and 55.
Leviticus chapter 25 and verse 55. For unto me, the children of Israel are servants.
Because from the Most High's perspective, it don't matter what you thought you was meant to be, or you was special, or you thought you was special, or your mama thought you was special, or your auntie, your grandma thought she was special. We were created to serve. Let's take the emotion and the feelings out of the deal. We were chosen to be servants. And read the second part of verse 24 in Ecclesiasticus.
Oh, God.
33:24, the second part.
God. It says, and bread, correction, and work for a servant.
The Most High is like, you were chosen to be a servant to me. So the deal is the Most High is going to supply us with bread, and he's going to supply us with correction when we're out of line, and he's going to supply us with burdens and work and responsibility for the betterment and upkeep of his nation. And can we accept that? Can we? I don't know. For multiple generations, we have not accepted this deal. Read on.
Verse 25. If thou set thy servant to labor, thou shalt find rest.
So the Most High is like, if I keep them busy on task and responsibilities and brotherhood, sisterhood, you guys got to work together, keep yourself busy, establish a common goal, keep working. Because when you're not working, you know, the Most High knows when you're not working, you're sinning. Or you're thinking about sinning. Or you're meditating about sinning. You're either sinning or you're thinking about, you're fitting to sin, or you're sinning.
Yeah.
That's the facts. The Most High is keeping it real as hell. Read verse 25 again. You got to say fitting to. Because that's the real word. Read it 25 again. I mean, not 25. 25. Read that.
God. Ecclesiastes 33 and verse 25. If thou set thy servant to labor, thou shalt find rest But if thou let him go idle, he shall seek liberty.
The Most High understands when we get time, when we get liberty, when we get comforts, we seek more comfort. This is the issue. This is what happened when Israel was in 40 years of just walking in circles. Then we got to our land. We fought for a period of time. Then they said Israel grew effeminate. And he started focusing on what? Their crops, their vineyards, their lives, their ease. And with that ease, that's when the sin came in. The Most High understands this. This is what the Most High understood from Adam. Hey, I gave Adam everything from the jump. Everything he wanted, everything he needed, and he still chose more comfort. So the Most High's like, damn, I got to sit back here and keep him busy and keep the rest of his prodigy busy. Because when you're busy and you're working and you're striving and you deal with setbacks and losses, think about when the land don't sit back here and produce the way you want it. What do you got to do? You got to send up prayers. You got to reevaluate. You got to think. You got to work harder, produce more, sacrifice more, make more changes. That process is humbling. The Most High never wants us to get away from that process. You try, you fail. You go back, you try better, you plan better. You fail. Or you find a little more success. Then you take a step back, you try and push harder. You fail a little bit, but you gain a little more experience. You come back. That entire process keeps you what? Praying, humble, considering. Maybe I'm not as badass as I think I am. Maybe I'm not as equipped and intelligent and sharp as I think I am. Damn, maybe I need the Most High more. Let me sit back. Maybe I need to counsel more. Maybe you sat back here and you did everything you could and it just don't damn work. And then all of a sudden now you want to call. You want to call brothers, you want to call sisters, now you want to counsel. That's important. It's the same way the Most High made man just work. He had to deal with obstacles and stumbling and rising and falling. The Most High made Eve do what? Now you're pregnant. Because most of you woman's gonna be saved through childbearing, through having their children, through raising children. The process of having children and raising children is what? Humbling. It's still humbling. Because who wants to see, until the damn 60s, when the white man gave women all the money and power in the world to where they don't need a man, a woman had to sit back here and do what? Depend on her husband. You gonna sit back here and raise kids and work and till land on your own? You can't do it. So think about the idea of raising children and having difficulties in labor and all the work it takes to raise children and what the man has to go through. All of these consequences are about keeping mankind humble. And mankind's whole life is based upon removing themselves from any semblance of having to be humble. That is a dilemma that is presented in front of us in life. So the Most High is sitting back here once again in Jeremiah 27 and saying, listen, you guys want freedom. You guys got this fortress called Jerusalem. Y'all don't think you don't need to serve me. So now scenarios have to be created for you to depend on me again. Yep. So now I got to bring this upstart king Nebuchadnezzar into your life, make life difficult, bring real fear and dread in your life to force you to a scenario where you have to depend on me. Now you got to think on me and pray to me and humbly beseech me. All of it because we just don't humbly beseech him on our own.
Yeah, it always has to be a reason.
Sky's falling.
The condition, yeah. The Chicken Little syndrome, you know. The sky's always got to fall in order for us to recognize the Most High, man.
And to act.
Yeah.
And to act
and call on the Most High as well.
Huh?
Otherwise, we wouldn't even... You think about it, man, everything's good. We wouldn't even pray. We would barely pray.
That's my point.
The Most High got to keep things like our back against the wall, borderline disaster.
Yeah.
You know, anything about to go wrong at any moment in order for us to realize, hey, man, I do need the Most High.
Because we don't have a natural inclination to pursue him. And our nature is to not serve. The nature in our people, the nature in mankind is not to serve. So the Most High has to create the conditions for us to serve.
And he says at the time of prosperity, there's a forgetfulness of affliction.
God.
We forget how bad things could really be.
So if there's a forgiveness of affliction, there's a forgiveness of servitude too.
Yeah.
When things are going good, why serve? I'm good. This is why the white man has created an entire world based upon if you work through his system and you play his game, the closer you play his game and operate like him, you don't have to depend on nobody but yourself.
Which the Most High still flips that upside down.
Eventually. Yeah. But that process of pursuing, operating Esau's world is the antithesis of serving the Heavenly Father. It's the antithesis of humility. So
and dependence.
Independence, which creates humility. Continue in Ecclesiastes 33.
Ecclesiastes chapter 33.
And 26.
And verse 26. A yoke and a collar do bow the neck. So are tortures and torments for an evil servant.
Well, we think about tortures and torments for like the bad guys. The guy that's doing drugs and criminal and the bad person. We get tortures and torments. Our life is uncomfortable. We don't get what we want. Because at times we're evil servants. We don't want to accept that. Tortures, torments, difficult times is what forces rebellious us to bend the knee, pray, ask for help, seek counsel, seek clarity. Read on.
I just want to bring this up too. Yeah, Ecclesiastes 39 and verse start at verse 26 and 27.
Ecclesiastes chapter 39 and verse 26
through 27. Yeah, you can read that.
Okay, Ecclesiastes chapter 39 and verse 26. The principal things for the whole use of man's life are water.
What else?
Fire.
What else?
Iron.
Go ahead.
And salt.
Go ahead.
Flour of wheat.
Go ahead.
Honey. Milk. And the blood of the grape. And oil. And clothing.
Go ahead. Now, the Most High provide these for life. These are necessities for life. Read on.
All these things are for good to the godly.
He said, but just as much as the things that you need to survive, they're good to the godly, even though they are essential necessities for life. Read on.
So to the sinners, they are turned into evil.
So water is good because you need it. But what happens when the Most High curse your water and you bust your water pipes in your house?
Or you in a white man's kingdom, you got to pay for water.
You got to pay for water.
You weren't supposed to pay for water. How about that? That wasn't on the to-do list when creation was established.
Water's supposed to be free. You're supposed to go down to the brook.
Yeah.
To the stream.
Or dig a well.
Dig a well.
And there's water there.
And there's water in the ground.
Have your dogs get the little glass and put it in there.
With the buckets. And every day you go to the watering hole and you get your water and you bring it back to the house.
Yep.
If you need more water, go what? Go get it. Get some more water.
Get some more water.
That's what it was there for.
Crank the bucket. Crank the bucket and the water come up. Go get your water. He said, but it'll turn into what?
Yep.
It'd be hard when you're out of pocket with the Most High. Getting water is hard to do.
Yeah.
Even though you need it to survive.
Or getting things that you just barely need, that you need for survival is hard.
Essentials.
God. It becomes difficult all of a sudden.
Now food becomes difficult to acquire.
God. But this is how the Most High humbles us. He uses things that should be easy and comfortable for us, hard to obtain.
Ain't no school clothes. You get hand-me-downs.
Yep.
You got your cousin's 3X shirt. And 40-inch waist, and you 15 years old.
Oh, no. That's a challenge.
Yeah. You got to cuff them at the bottom. You got to roll them up at the bottom. Man.
Yeah.
You got to cut them in the shorts.
There's always solo serve. Serve, TJ Maxx, Ross.
Yeah, shit, man.
Those are the answers right there. Remember them days?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Listen, I never forget. I forgot I had bought me some Guess, I think it was a Guess or a Jabot overalls. That's what overalls was the business side. And you walk around here and you know, if you think you're cool, you take one of the shoulder things off, you let it flow. I was rolling, I forgot I took off the one that had the irregular sign on it, because they stick the irregular sign on it, on right in the back of it. And if I let this latch down, you ain't gonna see it. If you let this one down, you see irregular. And it was there. I think I caught it in time, or maybe I didn't. But when you go through traumatic situations, you kind of forget things. I don't know if you know this, but when you get clouded in high school or middle school, all of a sudden you remember some things. Other things are kind of cloudy. So I think I caught it in time, but I remember seeing it, and I did something to like hide it real quick. I don't know if anybody else caught it. But what am I trying to say? I remember those days when you just get by and you survive and you get things on discount just to make it. Because things were, but the thing is this, that condition was still it was an off branch of a curse. And we face it even now. And the more we push our way and we forget this is about humility and servitude, he takes those convenient things that Shamshon wants pulling out that should be convenient and makes them inconvenient.
Yep. That's it. Read that part again. It says, so the water, what else?
It says water, fire.
Fire is heat. You need fire to cook. You need fire for heat, to keep you warm. Now staying warm is a problem. So all the Most High does is the Most High knows how to attack your life.
Yeah.
When you're disconnected from Him.
Yep.
He knows how to make everything that you need that's essential for life become a curse to you. Even heat, electricity, AC. You need electricity to run that AC. That everything becomes a problem, even just for basic survival. That's the whole point right here.
Good.
That the Most High has to do this when we get disconnected from Him.
It's like during Snowbit, we had all these people die
Yep.
because they couldn't get basic heat.
They couldn't get no heat.
Yeah.
Then they got in their cars and then died of carbon monoxide poisoning.
They couldn't, just something basic like going out and building a fire.
Couldn't do it.
They could do it.
Yeah.
And the water pipes froze.
Locked
Man,
up.
I'm glad to have neighbors that had the water.
You gotta have some good neighbors.
If you didn't have no neighbors, you were in trouble.
Water dripping.
Listen, I learned this time. If it's a fake cold gust coming in, I'm triple wrapping it. Because the worst thing in the world is when your pipes freeze, you are in hell. It feels like a whole week before it gets ready again. I sat back here. I was putting lighters under the pipe out.
Yeah, light.
I literally put it was like, you know, the hair dryer. I was like, let's go. Let's go do it. They didn't do it.
No, that pipe locked up already.
It's too late. I was like, damn it. I was like, damn, why didn't I wrap it right? Yeah, you gonna learn now, ain't you? You gonna learn.
You know, I just leave my pipes wrapped all year round. They're already pre-wrapped. They pre-wrapped already. I got socks on them. I got socks and duct tape on the styrofoam.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
All my pipes, man.
That's awesome.
It's pre-rolled.
Yes, it's pre-rolled.
I just noticed, I don't know if it was just a certain part of San Antonio, but I got an email from CPS that says that because there's so many people using a lot of energy.
Yeah, power grids.
Yeah, that they're saying that either we can elect to, I guess it's between 3 and 10, you can elect to avoid using large appliances, or they're going to, very similar to the rolling blackouts they did during that time, they're going to just, they said they'll try to give some notice, but you can just, for about increments of 15 minutes, lose power to your home. And they said that if you have a person that relies on a medical machine, or if you have a person, you got medicine.
You in trouble.
He says that you need to they tell you, go assist people who you know are in this situation. I got that email about a week ago, and I was like, dang, it's like that.
Yeah. You know why? Because it's been 100 degrees for 3 months straight. And that electricity is burning out. Every week is 105 every day.
And we got one electrical company.
Yeah.
ERCOT. We got one electrical company trying to power one of the fastest growing states in the U.S.
Cities, yeah. And states, yeah.
Yeah, states.
So the grid, is it broken up into cities or just, I don't know. It don't even matter.
I just know we on the side of the apartment complex that's connected to the same grid that the hospital is on. So we didn't experience that. So I was grateful. But I'm literally just, when I think that time y'all was saying on the other side, y'all's power got cut off. Ours didn't because we are literally connected to the hospital. So I was like,
But you know, when the power cuts off and the water cuts off, all of a sudden you're praying again.
yeah.
Yeah.
All of a sudden
You're conscious.
you're saying, "What's the Most High showing me here?
Yeah.
What's the Most High teaching me here?" Well, but that train of thought ain't there when your comforts are easily accessible to you, and it just takes. It takes, your car being broken down. And your carburetor, all of a sudden, what's the Most High showing me, man? He's showing you the same thing he was showing you last week. When you had the car.
Yeah.
But you didn't want to think about it when you had the car.
No, you didn't want to acknowledge him.
This is the point. And this is a natural inclination in the nation. You still want that?
No, that was it.
Okay. I think we're good on all that. Let's go back. Let's go back to Ecclesiasticus now. To Jeremiah. Let me see. Yeah, let's go to Jeremiah. Jeremiah 27 and verse 5 from the top again.
Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 5. I have made the earth, the man and the beast that are upon the ground, by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and have given it unto whom it seemed meet unto me.
To the Most High, I'm going to give this power to who I want to give it to. It's just like if you have kids in the house and you give one person responsibility and they don't handle that responsibility the right way, and you give them chance after chance after chance after chance, what do you got to do? You got to go to the younger son or the younger daughter. Because that was that? Oh, well, that too. But then after that don't work, then you got to sit back and go to the next person to depend on the next person to make sound decisions. You can sit back here and try and give a person opportunity after opportunity. If they keep showing they don't want it, you got to go to the person who can handle it. So the Most High is like, listen, I've been going to Israel for years and they don't want it. So I'm going to give this power, this dominance, to whoever I want to give it to. Read on to verse 6.
Verse 6. And now have I given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar.
So now the Most High said, I gave the Levant and all that other area, Assyria. I've given the Median Empire. I've given the land of the Hittites, which is around Turkey, right above Israel. He said, I'm giving this entire region to Babylon now. Because it's their time. Y'all didn't want it. Y'all didn't want to serve me, so I'm going to give Babylon all of this territory. You had a question?
Yeah, that map that you had earlier, was that all?
It's back on here again.
Those are all the kingdoms that Nebuchadnezzar was going to...
No, he had more than this.
Okay.
This, what I'm showing online, is the Levant, which is the southern jurisdiction that Egypt had. I can go find it when I get a chance and show you the eventual, all the territories of ancient Babylon. That's a larger scale. But this Levant is just the southern portion because it directly affects Israel and how they made decisions during this difficult time. Because what fed the pride of the Jews is that the Most High said Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon are going to take this land over. But from the time of 609 to 586 BC, there was a teetering of Babylon's definitely going to have this power. Then there's certain times where it looks like Egypt might gain the advantage. Then it goes back to, Babylon's going to get it. Nah, Egypt might regain control of the Levant. This is what fed Israel's pride into not listening to the prophecy. The prophecy is, listen, Babylon's going to take it. Nebuchadnezzar's going to rule it. Prepare your mind to serve him. How do you serve him? You serve him by paying your tribute. The problem is this. When you start paying out significant amounts of tribute, everybody in the nation from the top to the bottom has to suffer economic hardship. And we just talked about it. when you're giving up 50% of your GDP, your gross domestic product, all of a sudden, everybody hits into recession status, borderline depression status. You just have enough to operate and function.
And you know who gets forgotten? The widows, the fatherless, and the elderly.
Yep. Everybody gets touched, though, and everybody's life is inconvenienced. Now you can't party as much. Now you can't drink wine as much. Now you can't. Your animals are dying off because you can't feed them. Everything gets cut down. Now it's praying time. Now it's serve the Most High time. This is what hard times provide. So he's like, I'm going to sit back here, prepare your mind to deal with Nebuchadnezzar. He's coming. Okay? Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 27, verse 6.
Yeah, from the top again.
And now have I given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and the beasts of the field have I given him also to serve him.
He says, listen, that means Nebuchadnezzar is going to have access to the lands and all the natural resources. He says those beasts are his, that the beast that Israel owns and everybody in Levant owns is now his. That means Nebuchadnezzar gets to do what he wants to do with the land, the resources, the crops, the vegetation, the gold, the silver, the whole nine. And this is what stings and makes everybody's life difficult when all the resources go to another country. Okay? So, this is what's happening. And this is the warning the Most High is letting us know that was coming to Israel. Give me verse 7.
Verse 7. And all nations shall serve him, and his son, and his son's son.
So he says 3 generations of Babylonians, Israel, and everybody in the Levant is going to have to be subject to. Read on.
Until the very time of his land come, and then many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of him.
And the point is this. He was trying to give all the other kingdoms heads up. The land of the Philistines, the land of the Moabites, the Edomites, everybody was going to have to be subject to Nebuchadnezzar. Read on.
Verse 8. And it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith the Most High.
This is the reality about how the Most High deals with the kingdoms that are above us. There is a reason that when the Sakari Israelites that were under the Roman Empire rebelled against Rome, they thought Rome was, listen, those Israelites were pissed off at the policies that the Romans subjugated the Jews under. They had a point. Whatever they was getting subject was unfair. But people didn't want to understand is the Most High put Israel under those subjugated conditions. And this is why whenever Israel rebelled from the powers that were above them, the Most High made their life more difficult. And I don't think we never really understood this. The thing is this. The Most High doesn't want us, from the examples he's shown us from Daniel's and all the great men that had to be subject to negative rulers, the Most High taught us that we had a responsibility to serve the nations above us, but keep our spiritual integrity. Most of the time, when we went left, we would serve our masters above us, that the Most High put over us, but also give ourselves up to their belief systems and their religions and their ideologies. That's what the Most High hated. But the Most High constantly looked after us and gave us mercy when we gave the kings above us the tribute they requested and maintained our spiritual integrity.
At the same time.
At the same time. And that's where the disconnect goes. Because you can sit back and look at the history of Rome. The Romans were fine with us following the laws of the Most High and committing our sacrifice. Hell, they helped supply the animals needed for sacrifice. All the Romans asked from us was this. When you guys doing your little sacrifice thingies here, sacrifice some animals and pray for us. Pray for our kingdom. That's what the Romans wanted. And guess what we stopped doing? We stopped that very thing. Listen, but the Romans gave us carte blanche on our willingness to serve the Most High and keep the laws and commandments. The crazy thing is the Greeks did for a long time too. We had a class about it a year ago about the events that led up to the abomination of desolation. Everybody wants to talk about wicked Antiochus Epiphanes. He was wicked. But why did Antiochus think or feel it was the need to come in and push the Hellenistic approach into Jerusalem? The only reason he did was because 60% of the people wanted Hellenism in the first place. And like 40% wanted to keep it spiritually traditional. So if I am the power and the leader over a jurisdiction, and it's split that close, what is a leader going to do? I'm going to sit back here and go with the 60% to eliminate a civil war. It was almost civil war before Antiochus came in there. This is why when you read about Antiochus, it also talks about those wicked men that were getting licensed to bring gymnasium into Jerusalem. That movement was stronger than what it was explained early in Maccabees. The Josephus goes into how heavy and prevalent the Jews were to get deals from the Greeks and license and finance to push the Greek way in Israel. That was the problem. Israel kept wanting to assimilate versus just be in order. Because assimilation meant you can come up. That's why they did it. When you assimilate and you acted Greek, then you get benefits. Then you get money. There was no benefit in serving the Greek Empire and then following the laws and commandments of the Most High. You didn't get nothing out the deal. But just being broke and struggle. But that was the point. The Most High wanted us to be broke and struggle. And maybe if we all was broke and struggled, we'd come together and pray to the Most High to relieve us out of the condition and let Him take us out of it. That was the point. Because that's what He did when He brought us back from Babylon to when the Persian Empire sat back here and granted us mercy and sent us back to our land to rebuild our place. So this is what the Most High is trying to say. Right here, right now, if the nations just lock into Nebuchadnezzar and follow and pay the tribute necessary and come back and serve me, this will be over in 3 generations. He said, Nebuchadnezzar, his son, and his son's son, you're going to have to pay tribute to. That's a long damn time. But it's better to have 70 years of paying tribute than to have 70 years of being banished out of your country. That's a better deal. Right? Okay. And getting all your silver and gold and all your religious items taken out, that's a bad play. So let's continue.
Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 8. And it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith the Most High, with the sword, and with the famine, and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand.
Read on.
Therefore, hearken not ye to your prophets, nor to your diviners, nor to your dreamers, nor to your enchanters, nor to your sorcerers, which speak unto you, saying, ye shall not serve the king of Babylon.
What we can't ever get around is that there was always a small group of people that taught the truth the right way, and it was always another faction of Israelites that pushed an agenda that benefited them. You can't get around that. The things written aforetime are written for your learning. You would think Israel would sit back and teach for the purity of the word, teach for the purity of the doctrine, but a lot of Israelites are not going to do that, and there's just no getting around that.
Just like a politician.
And this is the thing. You had a strong political prince, and when you read about the princes had a strong influence in the city. And those princes had some prophets in their pocket, just like it is now. If you control the bank, you control the finances, you control the majority of the people. The princes, the politicians carried the weight. The princes had the king in their pocket. A lot of the prophets and the right priest in their pocket. So the Most High is saying, listen, don't listen to these people, these prophets that are reassuring the king. This message is to Jehoiakim. This message is to the king. He's like, don't listen to your right-hand men that are telling you that Babylon's not going to take over Jerusalem. Don't listen to their counsel. They're leading you astray. He's trying to go to the top and work this issue from the top, because when you have any type of political issue, school issue, camp issue, the issue starts with the top and you work your way down. So the Most High is trying to get your whole listen. Listen, the advisors that you're with, people you listen to, are leading you astray, and there's some false prophets, and these princes do not have the nation's best interest at heart. Read on.
Verse 10. For they prophesy a lie unto you, to remove you far from your land.
He says they don't realize that all these lies they're telling you are going to end up having you and your family and your family line get sent to a faraway land.
Because they're hoping that everything blows over so they can keep profiting.
And that's the point.
That's what they're always hoping.
Exactly. So they got to double down on their lies to justify their position. This is about keeping your position, keeping their strength. That's all it is. It's about their self-preservation. Because they weren't going to change in their lifestyle. Last week we went over how these priests and these princes were not going to change living the way they were living.
They were secret ball worship.
And remember they said, I've gone too far. I'm not changing. They said that.
And it was ingrained in the family structure.
In their multiple generations. Yeah. So they were going to keep doubling down on their gods, their philosophy, and they had that puppet Jehoiakim. It was in his head. So the Most High is trying to plead to the head. Once again, it shows you that the point man's spot at home, in a school, in a camp is so important. Because as the head is, everything else has to follow and suffer behind the head's decisions. The whole weight of the nation is based on Jehoiakim just saying no. Saying no to people.
Yeah.
And taking the responsibility and removing princes out of authority, going to war with all these guys that are secretly manipulating him. This is what made Hezekiah and Josiah, like I always say, so potent. They weren't just holy guys that love God. They were holy guys that love the Most High and had the power to go against the political side that was trying to get them to go against Heavenly Father. Josiah and Hezekiah were going to war with the elites who had the money. Just like Moses had to go to war with Korah and Dathan. And all these guys, let me finish this thought. What made Moses' life difficult was he had to deal with the people with the money and the power and the influence. Wow. And they were the ones going against the one person that was trying to keep things upright. That issue has never left Israel. Is it going to be about righteousness, or is it going to be about the money and the people with the power who have the political influence to sway the people's minds? This is what made Josiah and Hezekiah so potent. And what made Jehoiakim, Zedekiah, Jeconiah so weak. They cowered down to the pressure, to the political pressure, to the princely pressure. I'm sorry. I had to bring that point.
I can get to finish that point. I was going to say that, and you can see the same concept in Eli's sons.
Yeah.
Where Eli was a good priest, but his sons were sitting there taking advantage of the people financially.
And he knew it.
And he was conscious of it, but he didn't destroy that energy within the I guess the realm of power.
He would have destroyed his kids.
Yeah.
How about that? He would. The things that those sons were doing deserved death. They were sitting back here and taking women who were married.
Yeah.
They were sitting back here taking sacrifice from the altar. They were taking people's meat out of their damn seething pots. With these little 3-pronged meat devices, these 3-pronged meat hooks. It was extortion.
Yeah. It was criminal.
They deserve death. Anyway, so keep on your point, man.
No, and based off of Eli had a decision to make that wasn't made. So what the Most High have to do?
Intervene.
The Most High had Eli on his chair. He leaned back in his chair and fell all the way down and cracked his back and spilled his guts.
But before that, the Most High had to take away the the ark from Shiloh.
Con.
And it never returned to Shiloh.
Con.
That was the Most High saying, listen, the Most High has left this city and this place and that family line. It was supposed to be Eleazar's line that maintained the priestly influence. That was Ithamar's line. Somehow Ithamar got in there, and he removed Ithamar back from their place and reestablished Eleazar's family line as the priestly line. Once the Most High is done with you, he's done with you, your kids, your family, the whole damn thing. When the Most High cuts you off after multiple pleas and begging, he cut you clean, bro. And that's where he's at now. He's still in let me get Israel to see this. Let me sting and correct. But he's about to turn from let me correct to now I'm going to turn my back on. Because this is what ends up happening when we choose not to listen over consecutive periods of time. It tells you that where it says it comes to a point where there's no more grace for your sins. After you keep getting corrected for things you know you're not supposed to do. But you still got more?
No, that was it.
Okay, let's continue. Let's go back to Jeremiah 27 and verse 11, right? Is that where we're at?
No, we ain't finished 10.
Read verse 10 from the top again.
Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 10. For they prophesy a lie unto you, to remove you far from your land, and that I should drive you out, and ye should perish. Mm-hmm. But the nations that bring your neck under the yoke of the king of
bring their neck.
But the nations that bring their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon and serve him, those will I retain still in their own land. It didn't say
retain, it says remain. Read it from the top. Slow it down.
It says, but the nations that bring their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon and serve him, those will I let remain still in their own land.
He's saying, listen, if you humble down and serve, I'll let you stay in your land. It's going to be uncomfortable in your land, but it's going to be even more uncomfortable when you're sitting back here and walking 1,500 miles from one place to another into a foreign land. That's worse. Read on.
Saith the Most High, and they shall till it and dwell therein.
Exactly. He says, listen, at least if you're in your land, you can till your land. Now, what might happen, you can get a very small portion of your land to keep for you, but you'll still have enough to survive. It ain't like it's damn Ukraine and communist Russia. Communist Russia and Ukraine, bro, when Stalin was in power, he made all the Ukrainians grow all these wheat crops and grains and took every droplet of wheat and sent it back to Russia. That's horrible.
He kept it real.
Everybody sitting back here loving Stalin. Stalin was a murderer, man. He was a killer. It ain't like the Most High is doing that to us. Huh. He would have all the Ukrainians and all the people in Russia, all the farmers get all this wheat, and they have nothing to eat. And then Stalin is flabbergasted as to how come the farmers don't want to harvest for the next year. Like, why the hell would they?
They're no grain.
They get nothing. That's what it was. It was serfdom, and you know what it was? Russia had too many people, so they changed their system of a monarchy too quickly. So now you made everything that was individualized now for the common group. And all Stalin did is took all the food and resources and took care of the big cities. Leningrad, Moscow. The big countries got the things, the big cities got what they needed. The small farming cities got nothing. And they wonder why when the Germans came in, they were happy to see the Germans in Ukraine. They wanted to be liberated by Germany. Because their leader was starving them out. Why am I bringing this out? It's not like the Most High said this is going to happen to Israel. He says, you're going to till your land. You'll have your property. You're just going to give up on lying. You're not going to have abundance anymore. You're going to be on a budget. You're going to be on a budget and have to live off a budget because of your rebellion. That's the consequence. And Israel, in their pride, was used to their banqueting and their comfort and their leisure and didn't want to give that up. So in Jehoiakim's mind, in the prince's mind, we're not giving up our comfort seat. We're not giving up our position of strength. We're going to fight this out, hedge our bets, and see how this back and forth between Egypt and Babylon turns out. They went mechanical, they went logical, versus listening to what the prophets were saying. Let's keep going. Or the true prophets were saying. Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 12. I spake also to Zedekiah, king of Judah, according to all these words, saying, bring your necks under the yoke of the king of Babylon.
So, what's crazy is, this had to be more of a future prophecy, because Zedekiah wasn't even a king yet. Verse 1 tells you, it was Jehoiakim's time. So you got to put two and two together and just say, the message it was being consistently reverberated to all the leadership of Israel. Jehoiakim had 11 years. Jeconiah, Jehoiakim's son, had 3 months. Then you had Zedekiah had another 11 years. So in this constant period of time, there was a reminder, and they were both being shown to sit back and submit and bow down to Babylon, serve the Most High, keep your territory, just lose a significant piece of your gold and your power and your riches. So let's keep going.
He says, I spake also to Zedekiah, king of Judah, according to all these words, saying, bring your necks under the yoke of the king of Babylon, and serve him and his people, and live.
So he says, and live. At least you'll live. At least you'll live, but you'll live uncomfortable, but you'll live. This is the message we have. Stay in order with the powers that be and live. And let the Most High pull us out of our situations. This is the lesson. Stay humble. Stop trying to take matters into our own hands and let the Most High deliver us. Read on.
Verse 13. Why will ye die, thou and thy people?
Why would you die off of your just because you don't want to listen? The inevitable is coming. This is why in constant chapters in Isaiah and Jeremiah, he keeps saying, why do you seem like you have this much damn confidence in Egypt? Yes, this was a period of time when Egypt was strong. Because Egypt was strong. They were the second strongest nation in the territory. But damn, you got all this faith that they're going to come out of their little space and protect little old Jerusalem? And then on the second side, well, damn, you're still paying Egypt. What's the difference? It isn't like if Egypt comes to protect you from Babylon. Do you think they're doing it for free? Why would Egypt come to Israel in the first place? Because they're defending their territory. Jehoiakim was still paying King Necho his bread from 609 to 605. That's what it was. He's paying somebody. So now you just don't want to pay this other guy? You're paying out of pocket anyway. The people are already, their budget's already getting cut. It's just pride and preference. They didn't want to sit back here and bend the knee to the other guy. And on the flip side, it's like this. Trying to look at it from their perspective. Maybe they didn't want to make enemies of Egypt. Maybe it's okay, if I send money to Babylon, then Egypt's going to get pissed off at me. My answer is, it don't even matter. By the time we got to 605 and Babylon came to him, Jehoiakim was already paying money to him. at 605 to 602. He stopped. He paid for 3 years and cut off. The message here was from Jehoiakim to Zedekiah. Keep paying. Stop trying to pay a little bit and stop. Pay a little bit and stop, because that's what him and Zedekiah did. They paid for a period of time, then they cut the money off and wonder why this guy came in full force and broke him down. Just trying to paint the picture so we understand what's going on. Let's continue.
Verse 13. Why will ye die, thou and thy people, by the sword, by the famine?
Because he's like, listen, why would you die by famine? Because they're going to besiege the city. They're going to starve you out. Why go through this? Why go through the sword, the death that comes after the famine? Why do it? Just submit and survive. And just tighten your budget up. And reflect about what it takes to serve the Most High. But this is Israel all the time. We sit back here and fight the direction the Most High goes for years. I've seen Israel just fight change for 3, 4, 5 years. Am I right or wrong?
Okay.
Just resist. And they know their life is a sinking ship. And they just refuse to just change what they need to change. So it's not like when you're reading this, I mean, what the hell is Jehoiakim thinking? Why was he tripping? This is us. How long does it come? The question is this. How long does it take us to finally say, I am motivated to change? How long does it take us from falling, making mistakes, failing, to finally saying, you know what, enough's enough. I'm going to go and change my direction and change my course.
Or seeing the value of what the message is showing us. Because half of us no longer or don't ever see the value. And we have to have a contrasting physical scenario to make us see the value of basic, repetitive
Failures.
Wise counsel has been presented to us on multiple occasions. Because we hear the information and we always say, why is this important? That means I don't value the point.
When you value the point, then you can change. What is it? And all I'm saying is, how long does it take for us to sit back and find the mechanism in us and the reason and the justification to actually change what's inside of us? How long does that take? And when you sit back and look at your own personal life, you realize, okay, now I understand what was so hard about Zedekiah having to make this change. Because it also required Zedekiah to change things in his life. Operating under Egyptian rule obviously meant they could still do what they wanted to do and have the freedoms they had spiritually. Being up under Babylonians' rule was harder, was harsher, and was going to force them to really look at themselves. This is why. Because if it was about just dispersing money, it's just about dispersing money. What was it about the Babylonian rule that they dreaded so much? It was going to be a harder situation. Their life was going to be made more uncomfortable. And because of it, they were going to have to make real change in themselves that they didn't want to face.
This is one definition of when you convert a sinner.
Mm-hmm.
It says, man can convert a sinner only in the sense of presenting the reasons that induce the voluntary change and thus persuading him to repent. Meaning you can't force anybody to do anything. The only thing you can do is pose an argument, present some evidence, give some reasons, some strategies, and some inspiration and some possible answers why it's a good idea. But ultimately, that person they have to consent within themselves that I have to give up this frame of thought, and make this particular change. It's not something you could force. A change of heart is nothing you can't force that on anybody. That's completely voluntary. It's completely voluntary. So as the war is bringing this out about, why would a person stay in their pride for 2, 3, 4, 5 years? He's saying that what he's saying is that you can't control anybody. They have to see it for themselves, and until they see the reasons and the evidence, and they evaluate the evidence, and they come to an agreement to say, you know what, maybe this conversion or this change of mind is more valuable than the mind frame that I currently possess, then maybe if I see the value in it and you pose and present enough reasons, then there's a possible opportunity for conversion. But up until that time, you can't make anybody do anything.
Okay. So what we're going to do now, let's continue with where we're at, because we're just getting started. We're gonna go as long as it takes to get to at least to Jeremiah 36. We got to get that done.
Okay. Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 13. Why will ye die, thou and thy people, by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, as the Most High hath spoken against the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon?
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that speak unto you, saying, Ye shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy a lie unto you.
You know what the crazy thing about fighting to change your life? It is always going to be one side pushing you to strength, and there's going to be an opposing side saying you don't have to push that hard.
Right.
This is something that
Naturally.
this is the law of life. We're going to have an opportunity to change. The Most High is going to be pushing us to change. He's going to have a small influence of people that are going to guide us to giving more, sacrificing more, committing more, and there's going to be a larger majority of people that are letting us know that you don't have to push at that same level. You can take it easy. You could slow down. This what we're reading is a large aspect of the battle for the hearts and the nation of the people. You got one prophet or a handful of prophets, Jeremiah, Baruch, maybe a few more, that were pushing that Babylon's coming into change. But the majority were saying, relax, don't stress out, it's going to be okay. There was literal priests that started putting hands on Jeremiah later on, and he got to his old age, because he said, listen, the priest said, listen, Jeremiah is scaring the people. And because he's scaring the people, we got to throw this guy in jail again, because he's creating panic and fear amongst the people. Scaring people is what gets people to change. This is the thing. Sometimes you need dramatic situations to use it for you to grow spiritually. The battle that's in Israel, that's in life, like I'm going to say it again, I'm going to let it go. There's a handful of people pushing you to strength, and there's a larger group of people telling you you don't have to fight for that strength. It's up to us to listen to those few ears that are telling you to give more, fight more, change more. Just like the Most High had a handful of prophets telling us the right way, and a large number of people saying it didn't have to be that way. This dynamic is prevalent in the nation. Let's continue.
Come. Verse 15. For I have not sent them, saith the Most High, yet they prophesy a lie in my name, that I might drive you out.
He said, because of their lies, they're going to force me to take all of y'all out of this land. Because of their lies. Once again, it's so important that we as a nation, even in council, we're better off pushing men in council and sisters in council to be strong than to co-sign their flesh. Listen to what the Most High said. Because the prophets are prophesying lies. What were the prophets really prophesying? You don't have to sit back here and operate with this sense of urgency. You could take it easy. You don't need to change. You don't need to sit back and make all these adjustments in your spirit. You're fine as you are. That's the lie. That's always the lie.
And the church always.
That's a lie in 605 BC. That's a lie in 2023. There's always more you can do. The scripture says in Ecclesiastes 43 and 30, you can never go far enough. So that should be taught uniform across the board. I'm not going to sit back here and tell somebody they're doing good enough and cause them to have the Most High drive them out of their circumstance and punish them. Our obligation as teachers is to push the strength, to get a person to stay humble and change. Because hopefully, if they listen, like Shamshawan said, you can't make anybody do anything. But if we set a standard to get a person to see that they can do more, if they listen, maybe they save their lives. But if we don't push them to strength and give them the opportunity to fight, then they're destined to fall. What you going to say?
I was going to say, one of the presidents said, I'm looking for which president said it. But
Biden? Was it Biden?
No, it was a long time ago. It was a long time
So
ago.
there's always anti-Biden bars from down.
I never liked that guy, bro. I never liked him. But it said one of the old presidents said, he said the get rich quick and make money fast mentality of America is going to be the fall of America. And that was his quote. I just trying to find what president said it, but he was prophesying the fall of his own nation.
He was saying.
I'm saying the fall of his own nation.
Okay.
He ain't a prophet.
Okay,
But the white man saying this mindset of get rich quick and this easy mindset is going to destroy everything that was built from the previous
round up. Yeah.
So that dynamic is in every culture. When cultures betray their roots,
Yep.
When Israel betrays their roots, it's over. We want to blend in with nations. We want easier lives. We want foreign gods. We want rest and relaxation. We want lighter situations, lighter counsels. Listen, bro, the Most High has always been about making us. You learn by suffering. Suffering is a teacher.
Like the scripture says, a little folding of the hands,
Come on.
a little slumber for sleep, and then the house falls apart. This is something. This is the scary thing about when Israel, when we do succeed. When we succeed, is that going to be where we plateau, or are we going to continue to push forward? So you got more on that? Let's continue in Jeremiah 27. Where we at? Verse 16.
No, we didn't finish 15 yet.
Okay, read on.
It says, "For I have not sent them, saith the Most High, yet they prophesy a lie in my name, that I might drive you out, and that ye might perish, ye and the prophets that prophesy unto you. Also, I spake to the priests and to all this people, saying, Thus saith the Most High, hearken not to the words of your prophets that prophesy unto you, saying, Behold, the vessels of the Most High's house shall now shortly be brought again from Babylon."
The crazy thing is, nobody knows how quick shortly is.
Yeah.
This is in the beginning of Jehoiakim's reign. He started reigning in 609. The holy items didn't get taken out till 598. So sometimes when you read in Ecclesiastes 8, I think, it says because sentence let's get it. Because sentence isn't Yes, sir. Exactly. It was 8 and 11, right?
8 and 11.
Yep. Let's go there real quick. Because the thing is this, they're sitting back here and they're hearing what Jeremiah is saying, but they're like, listen, man, it's been 5 years. It ain't gonna happen.
But that's what people love.
I know.
They love that.
I know. And now listen, the prophecy didn't come through. Then we're going to go do what we got to do. Everything's okay. We still got our thing. Egypt's still showing that they're stable. We don't got to change. This is the mindset people have.
Brothers felt a little bit of that when COVID kind of wasn't so bad anymore. And brothers still wasn't listening.
Yeah.
Brothers still negative. Brothers still wasn't studying. And when COVID went away, they were like, oh, it's just another scare.
Yeah.
That's the mindset we have anyway.
Because the next time, when the food really does get scarce, what are we going to do? Listen, this economic collapse is coming. Contrary to what popular demand is, this collapse is coming. What's up?
Yeah, when we started also, remember in 99, it was the Y2K is coming.
Yes.
I was all the way up until December, everybody was like, y'all got like, see, we knew some BS. We knew that y'all prophets y'all were false prophets.
Yeah.
Y'all was trying to get us to give up or whatever. Now we're going to live on that because now we don't know when Christ is coming, so we got to bury in. We got to get settled.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's been like every 5-10 years, there's that something happens, and it's like, oh. Then it falls back and we're like, okay.
Yep.
All right. We cool. It's not really that bad.
Let's go.
You don't have to be that
We can go back to the club now.
Yeah, after
Right.
Listen, it is Saturday night. This can be done again. We go back to the club. All is quiet on the Western Front.
So you know it's bad when the club's not open no more.
If the club's open, if it's closed, mayday. The end times are near.
I can finish the Sopranos.
Soprano, yeah.
Series.
Season whatever.
Yeah. The Wire. I can get all that color.
That's hilarious.
You know, 9/11 it was standing room only in class.
Yeah, man.
Day after that same day, that same day, 9/11 class was standing room only.
Like, we love the Lord.
And
We
then
need answers. We need answers.
Yeah, we need answers. You seen brothers that you ain't seen in years. Shalom, shalom.
Listen, that's coming down. That's coming down. Watch, it will be happening soon. Listen, when things go bad again, when this dollar starts dropping, because the dollar's going to be dropping, then everybody's going to want to hear the Lord again. They're going to want to hear the Lord. But the Most High He tries to get us to change without us seeing the signs that it's about to fall.
You know,
that's how the Most High knows you're serious about change.
You know, I think it's worse though too is that when these individuals that come in when it's already fallen, will have the audacity to get angry that, you know, it's not set up already. Y'all didn't set this up. Y'all supposed to have set this up. Y'all knew it was coming.
Listen,
they've been living their life. They've been living their life the whole time. But they gonna have the audacity to say, "Well, how come y'all didn't plan? Y'all wasn't ready for this.
We already had 15 guys. How about that?
Yeah.
Maybe we would have had a whole army. We'd be able to plan things.
Yeah.
This is why the Most High said, when that rain started raining, guess what happened with Noah's Ark? That ark closed.
Yep.
Well, it's a couple drops. It wasn't like it was open while it was flooding. No, it closed when water dropped. And that's going to be how things happen now. For those of us who know better and still be individuals, and guess what? Then you be an individual out there. These are straight facts. Listen, the storehouses aren't that damn plentiful. Let's just be honest. The storehouses are what they are. And like we said many years ago, whoever put in, gets back. I'm dead ass on that. We ain't sitting back here letting every Tom, Dick, and Harry come in here and sop on whatever the hell we got here. No. I'm a Jew. Yo, Hashem, Yahweh, Barakatah. You can kick rocks with that stuff, right? Where was you at when we needed you?
10 virgins. 5 wives, 5 of
Listen, bro, it's going to be real. I don't know how the Most High is going to sustain us, but you know how we act leading up to the collapse will let us know who we work with. And that's the truth. I ain't trying to be doom and gloom scare guy, but this is what's going on. And this is what the Most High is trying to see. Before, people think that quietness means everything's okay. The quietness is the time you need to make the change. He's trying to get us to establish some type of a sense of urgency within us to change. So when the decree is sent out, that's why it doesn't happen overnight. Because he knows how hard it is to make those changes inside. So he gives us time. We're going to watch and see how the Most High gave us time, gave us scares. He was giving us scares, Zach. In the midst of this 11-year period, he's giving us scares to shake us up to see what we do. And we just sat back here, we'd sit back here and huddle up, have some candlelight vigils and prayers, and then go back and do our thing. We're going to read it. Let's keep going.
Come on. Do you want the Ecclesiastes 8 and 11?
Yeah, let's do that in the Bible. 8 and 11. 1 second. There's no other. Yeah, read that.
Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily.
Because the Most High has to sit back here and destroy the perpetrator immediately upon action. Read on.
Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
Now, what is the fully set in them? What does that fully set really mean?
That means they're comfortable and they're okay. They think that they're not going to get punished for what they did.
I'm going to double down.
Yes.
Because what men love to do, men love for there to be an argument or a debate and then say, hell with it. I'm not wrong. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do this. I'm confident in my not being wrongness. I'm gonna double down, and men double up in whatever their positions are.
And the reality is, it's because we don't train ourselves, and we don't allow people to train us into the reality that maybe we can do more. Maybe how we're operating isn't good enough. Maybe I can change. Maybe I can make adjustments and tweaks in my conduct. This is the mindset we have to nurture in ourselves. Even though we're doing good works, even though we're making good adjustments in our life, we can never tell ourselves that that's enough. Because when we tell ourselves we're doing enough, that's the beginning of our fall. But let's continue.
Jeremiah.
Go back to Jeremiah.
Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 16. Also, I spake to the priests and to all this people, saying, Thus saith the Most High, hearken not to the words of your prophets that prophesy unto you, saying, Behold, the vessels of the Most High's house shall now shortly be brought again from Babylon, for they prophesy a lie unto you.
He's like, listen, these vessels are on their way out. When the vessels are out, that means the country is invaded. He's letting us know that was the first part of the fall. The first part of the breakdown is when the vessels are coming out. Because when Nebuchadnezzar comes in December of 598, they come out and take the young princes, and they take portions of the priestly items. Then they leave. Then they come back in the spring of 597, and they take more of the workers and the established, talented men of the nation, and they take more
the skilled workers,
priestly items, more gold, more silver, more items of the temple, and they take it out. So this is what's happening. Like the first time is going to be the vessels being taken out. Then at the end, in 586 BC, is when they're going to burn the city to the ground. Okay? So this is what's happening. And this is the Most High's warning, gradual warnings that he has set up for us. Yes, I.
So when it says they go not into Babylon,
Right, you're out. Is that
when it says at the end of on the end of 18 it says they go not into Babylon, is that signifying like, oh, don't worry about it? It's not
verse 18 or verse 16? We were at verse 16.
Oh, verse 16, okay.
You're reading ahead, man? You're not following with us, man?
The hell you doing,
That's what you're doing, You reading ahead,
Banished, son.
You got caught. This guy got caught. He got red-handed. I love the reading. Just stay with me, damn verse. I just love the understanding. And let's stay with us then. I gotta call you on that, man. I gotta get you on that.
About submitting.
Yeah. Stay in order. I get that feeling. I see. I got you. Yeah, I got you. All right. See, there you go.
Turn it red, bro.
Welcome in, brother. Welcome in to the brotherhood. I'm messing with you, man. It's cool.
Get hotter.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Skywalker, can we get you in, man?
Yes, sir.
Imagine.
Tahawam Racha, Shal Shabbatah, Ban Ashar, Ban Yasha Allah.
Tahawam Racha, Shal Shabbatah, Ban Ashar, Ban Yasha Allah. Imagine. Yahweh Hashem Yashabakatah.
Yahweh Hashem Yashabakatah.
All right.
The what, sir?
So let's do it. So we're in Jeremiah. I know he's getting in here into the fire, man, but Jeremiah 27 and verse 17. 17. let's read that, sir.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 17. Jeremiah chapter 27 and verse 17. Hearken not unto them. Serve the king of Babylon.
He says, stop listening to these liars. Serve the king of Babylon. Pay your tribute and come back to me. Because when you read in all these chapters, whether it's 26, 27, 35, or 34, multiple chapters, it says, come to me, stop doing the adultery, and not the idolatry, stop the idolatry, stop the taking advantage of the poor and the needy, and
Bad social courses.
and just the people that don't, like someone said, it was the widows. Take care of them. Stop breaking the law and serve the king of Babylon. This is the constant message that's been drawn from Jehoiakim all the way to King Zedekiah. Read on.
Hearken not unto them. Serve the king of Babylon and live. Wherefore should this city be laid waste?
He said, why destroy my city? Why destroy it? He's constantly pleading the same point. Read on.
But if they be prophets, and in the word of the Most High be with them,
If the word's with them, read on.
let them now make intersection to the Most High of hosts.
He says, if these prophets that you're listening to are really prophets, let them go to the Most High and get connected with him to get the understanding of what's going on. Read on.
That the vessels which are left in the house of the Lord and in the house of the king of Judah and at Jerusalem go not to Babylon.
He's like, get these prophets to get back in order with me so they can get the same message and get lined in with Jeremiah to save the temple, to save all the items inside the temple, the laver, the candlesticks, the whole nine.
The brass target, the gold targets.
Exactly, all of it. Save it. Save everything that's been built since the time of Moses. Read on.
For thus saith the Lord of hosts concerning the pillars and concerning the sea.
The sea is where the water was. Okay, read on. The brazen sea. Read on.
And concerning the bases. And concerning the residue of the vessels that remain in this city, which Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, took not, when he carried away captive Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from Jerusalem to Babylon.
Once again, he's explaining what's about to happen. Because after Jehoiakim gets captured and killed for his rebellion, Jeconiah, his son, takes the throne and it stays in power for 3 months. After they sat back and ransacked the priestly items in the first wave of December, they come back and get the rest of the holy items in March, April. Get my point. They come in and they come back in 3 months and take the rest. So he's telling how it's going to go down. Read on.
And all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem.
And he's going to take all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. The nobles go on the first wave, and the skilled workers and talented men go the second wave. Then you just got everybody, the regular, degenerates is left to hold the fort for 11 more years. Read on.
Yea, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, concerning the vessels that remain in the house of the Lord, and in the house of the king of Judah and of Jerusalem. They shall be carried to Babylon, and there shall they be until the day that I visit them, saith the Lord. And the day that the Most High visits them was when he gives power. He strips it from Babylon and gives it to Persian Media Empire. And then they sit back here and see it deemed proper to reinstate Israel back into their homeland. And then they are allowed to get a lot of their items back into the temple to rebuild it. Read on. Then will I bring them up and restore them to this place. Kind. So now from that verse, we're going to jump to Jeremiah chapter 3. Well, what was your question on verse 18, by the way?
That very last verse, the very last line of verse 22, that summed it up.
Okay.
He said, then I will bring them up and restore them to this place.
Because the
restoration after
the restoration will be after the fall, after 70 years.
Yeah.
Remember, he said it's Nebuchadnezzar, his son, and his son's son. They're going to run that course, and then after that grandson is born and reigns. Then they'll come back to Israel.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get Jeremiah chapter 36. We're going to read the chapter also. Yeah, we're going to read the whole chapter.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 1.
And it came to pass in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, that this word came unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying.
Now we're in the 4th year of Jehoiakim. So it started off 605, right? 605 to 609. I'm sorry. 609. 4 years later, it's 605. 605 is when Nebuchadnezzar now is officially in power, and he's the king of Babylon, and they've taken over. They took over Assyria, and they defeated Egypt in the Battle of Carchemish. Now Nebuchadnezzar's on his way down to start claiming and enforcing his territory. You got to understand, when they're sitting back here and fighting these wars, it ain't like a video game. It ain't like they're driving trucks and machines and planes and they have time to get back from one place to another. Logistically speaking, when they fought in Carchemish near the Euphrates River up north, that was in 609 or 605. They came back to Babylon. They resupplied. They resettled. Then they made their way back to Levant to start enforcing their policies on all those countries that are on the screen. Okay? So after they sit back here, they broke down Assyria. They had to go back to Babylon, reestablish Assyria, put Assyria in order, make sure they have their deals with the Medes, get their supplies, get their money. You got to understand, the importance of all the tribute was to keep the military industrial complex running. You had to pay your soldiers. You had to supply your soldiers. You had to give them food, meals, preparations to make the next wave of invasions, to get more gold, more supplies, to keep this machine going. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's continue now in verse 2 of Jeremiah.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 2. Take thee a roll of a book, and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto thee against Israel.
Now make sure I got this right. In 605, this is when Jehoiakim gets that letter. And it says, this money is coming to us now. The money, whatever money you were sending to Egypt, we want this amount of money now. It's coming to us now. So now Jehoiakim is on the hook, and now he knows he has to serve the king of Babylon now. So now the Most High has gotten to Jeremiah. Now the Most High is communicating with Jeremiah, and now he's like, write this book now. Now I want you to sit back here, and all these curses, all this communication and messages that you've been sending to the kings and to the princes, now I want you to write down all of these messages in a scroll on a piece of paper. And I want you to deliver this scroll to King Jehoiakim. So just know this much. This has been 4 years of Jeremiah already dropping 4 years of doom and gloom messages to the king. He's been in prison. He's been beaten up. He's been catching hell, delivering messages. And now at this point, he is not allowed to go to the court in the temple to deliver these messages anymore. I just want to kind of give a background of what's happening. Read on.
Take thee a roll of a book, and write therein all the words that I have spoken unto thee against Israel, and against Judah, and against all the nation, from the day I spake unto thee, from the days of Josiah, even unto this day.
So what's happening is, now is when the Most High is telling Jeremiah to write everything I've been dropping on you. So this is when all the compilations of Jeremiah starts to get written. Okay? Right at this point. Read on. Now once again, when you're reading this, don't look at the numbers of the chapters and think this is where we are sequentially. And how Baruch writes the information is kind of in a scattered form, because Jeremiah is just dropping all the different messages that was relayed to all the different kings at different times of their interactions together. So the Most High is telling Jeremiah to write this notes down. Read on.
It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I propose to do unto them, that they may return every man from his evil way.
So what's crazy is the Most High, even with all the rebellion that Judah is operating in, he's like, listen, maybe if you write it down in scroll form, they'll listen to it. Maybe it'll be more official. He says, I've been having you sit back here and relay messages verbally at the temple and ain't nobody listening. At the court of the temple and nobody's listening. Maybe if you sit back here, scribe the information, write it down in paper form, maybe they'll respect it more. Maybe it's official. This is the Most High showing nothing but mercy to us. Think about how the Most High is looking at us. He's like, well, you don't, damn, that message didn't work. You talking to him inflamed them. Let me create an indirect way to communicate to them, and maybe they'll listen. That's what the Most High is saying.
Non-personal.
Yeah, because when Jeremiah said, you're going to die, ready to die. Everything's falling, it's going to fall, you're going to die.
Children are going to be slaves.
Maybe they can't handle that.
Yeah.
Maybe
Jeremiah's personal.
Yeah.
Jeremiah got something against me. That's what I'm saying.
So maybe if you write it in letters, they'll read it and they'll listen. Listen, if this isn't the spirit of love and mercy that the Most High is coming out of, I don't know what it is.
Well, the Most High is having alternative avenues of reaching us because he didn't quit on us.
That's mercy. That's love. Let me sit back here and write it in haiku form. Let me sit back and write it in poem form. How many other ways and angles do I got to get you to see that you got to change? If that's not love, I don't know what it is. If that's not mercy, if that's not kindness, I don't know what it is. This is how the Most High displays kindness to us. The different ways he sends teachers and counselors and people saying the same thing. You ever been in a situation where you got to change and then one brother comes to you strong and checks you like a mug, and the other person smiling with you with a drink in his hand and tell you the same shit? Yeah. Then you get a Jake person tell you the same thing that three brothers told you. Has that not happened to us? You get some outsider, he'll say some spiritual ass things to you, like, whoa, this guy was in the spirit. Was it him in the spirit? Or was it Most High sitting back here and being a mouthpiece to you from a person where your guards are down? Because that's what this is about. He's got to deliver a message to the princes and to the king, and maybe in letter form, coming from Baruch, it'll be less offensive. Because the thing is this, the letter comes from the prince. Baruch gives the letter to the princes and the priest. The priests and the scribes deliver the letter to the king. So now it's his friends that are telling him he's got to change, versus Jeremiah going to war with the individual that causes an affront. Is embarrassment there? You're making me feel crunchy. You're making me look bad. That is how the Most High is doing everything in his power just to get us to change. I'm sorry.
No, that's how parents work. The father might be too mad. He just want to whoop the kid's ass.
Yep.
So he'll say, hey, tell your mom, hey, mom, go tell these kids this. Because if I see them, I tell them I'm whoop their ass. Yeah. So, it's better for you to tell them what I need them to do. Because my patience is done. I'm done with them. But it's still a form of mercy. Yeah. Because you got to divide the anger out of the equation so that you can still try to reach them and still try to get to them.
I tell my oldest that. I'm like, listen, son, can you talk to this middle child and talk some sense into him? We're going to argue. If I tell this guy what I want to tell him, we're going to argue. So maybe if it comes from you, he'll listen. Yeah. That happens all the time. Let me bring it through a third party.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, then it happens. You know what happens? They listen more. I'm like, go figure. If Big Bro tells you it's better than me and Diablo War, then my answer is, you know what? I really don't care. If you listen to him, cool. At least the information got relayed to you.
Yep.
That means you care.
That means you give a damn.
I don't got to get the credit for you seeing the point. Just, did you get the point? And this is where the Most High, let's go an indirect way. And what's happening, as you're going to read, the Most High has it at the same time as he's going to go indirect towards them. He also has a situation going on geopolitically that has the king off balance, and he's afraid. So he's like, I'm going to sit back here and shake him up in his world and provide an indirect approach in hopes that he'll come around. So what the Most High does, he creates scenarios around. Well, I'm going ahead of myself. Let's read it. Let's continue.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 3.
Yeah, I want 3 again, yes.
It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I propose to do unto them, that they may return every man from his evil way, that I may forgive their iniquity and their sin.
He says, I can forgive you if you change. This is what the Most High talked about in Ezekiel. I find no pleasure in you pining away. Let's find that verse. People be thinking the Most High is like, no, he has fallen and I am happy he has fallen.
Another one bites the dust.
It's not the case, Zach. It's not the case, Zach.
33 like 12.
Yeah, it's 33 for sure. Yeah, give me 33 and 10 and 11. Ezekiel 33. Matter of fact, 33 and 9 through. We can start at 11 and see what happens. It might take a little further.
Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 11. Say unto them, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I have no pleasure.
No. 33 and verse 9.
Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 9. Nevertheless, if thou warn the
Matter of
wicked...
fact, I'm sorry, man. We might as well jump up to 7. 7 to 11. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ezekiel chapter 33 and verse 7. So thou, O son of man, I have set thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore thou shalt hear the word at my mouth, and warn them from me.
So the Most High is like, you guys, because the thing is this. Remember in Exodus when everybody, all the people were clamoring and they wanted to see the Most High? I want to talk to the Most High. Forget Moses, get out of the way, man. I want to talk to I want to talk to your boss. like Mr. Charlie says now, I want to talk to your boss, your supervisor. Who's your boss? If you work in that industry, you know that kind of spirit. I want to talk to your boss, Missy. Okay, so this is what Israel said to Moses. I want to talk to the Most High. But guess what? When the Most High got everybody close to the mountain, Mount Sinai, guess what they started hearing? Thunderings and loud, powerful thunders, and they say, you know what? Moses, where you at? We're good talking to the Father. We'll rather talk to you. And then they stopped bugging him about where the Father was. Remember that? Yep. So the Most High is like, you can't handle talking to me one-on-one. You can't handle that relationship. So I am sending priests to deal and be that middleman. They're still hard. But getting close to the Most High is even harder. So this is what the Most High is like. Listen, man, you're watchman. Your job is to be that middleman and be that talebearer, that message bearer to warn and exhort Israel to change. Read on.
Verse 8. When I say unto the wicked, O wicked man, thou shalt surely die. If thou dost not speak to warn the wicked from his way, that the wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I requite at thy hand.
So if we're going to be that watchman, there is a significant pressure on us to fulfill that job the right way. We're not supposed to candy coat the message. We're not supposed to make the message easy. We're supposed to be direct and clear so that person knows in that interaction exactly what the Most High wants from that brother or sister. That's our obligation. And if we do it the right way, we'll be okay. If we don't do it right, they're going to fall and we're going to get punished for not delivering the message properly. Read on.
Nevertheless, if thou warn the wicked of his way to turn from it, if he do not turn from his way, he shall die in his iniquity. But thou hast delivered thy soul.
So our soul being saved or not is predicated on how clear our message is for our students. Read on.
Therefore, O thou son of man, speak unto the house of Israel. Thus ye speak, saying, if our transgressions and our sin be upon us, and we pine away in them, how shall we then live?
So the question that people that are sinners and not changing, they're sitting back here and saying, if we keep pining away in our sin and not changing and stuck in our ruts, how are we going to live? The answer is you're not. The Most High's response isn't that, oh, I want to take away this sin from you or take away this transgression from you or this battle from you. Read what he says in response to that in verse 12.
Verse 11.
I'm sorry, verse 11.
Say unto them, as I live, saith the Lord Yahweh, I have no pleasure in the death of the wicked.
So he's like, I am not, listen, this is one thing we have to understand about the Most High. He is not going to budge because we're nice guys and we've served the Most High for a few years and we've done good for him. We are on the hook to change. And if the message and the question is brought to him, I know we're sinning and we're pining away in it because we haven't changed out of that rut. How are we going to function in this rat race, in this circle of making mistakes and sin and weakness? The Most High's response is, I don't love the fact that you're in this rut. I don't find pleasure in the fact that you're in this rut. I'm not smiling because you're suffering and you're in this cycle of sin and sadness and depression and unhappiness. I don't find joy in that. You're going to have to be humble and change. This is what the Most High was saying in Jeremiah chapter 36 and 3. Maybe if I bring the message to you in a way that's softer to you, maybe you'll see the light and you'll change so I can save you from your issues. The Most High can't save us from our iniquity until we change our iniquity. So we're like, I don't find pleasure in you pining away and withering away and falling apart and your life collapsing, but that's what's going to happen if you don't change. All the Most High can do, like Chuck said earlier, well, you can't make a person change. You can just deliver a message in 1,000 different ways to get them to see it. That's how we as teachers and leaders of households and camps show love and mercy. How many times can I say the same thing in hopes that you get it? Without getting angry and emotional and temperamental and out of pocket.
You know, if you get angry, you lose the ability to create reasons and strategies for a person to change. Mm-hmm. But as long as you keep calm, if you're in a spirit of temperance, which is knowing how to stay calm under pressure, then that motor, that engine of creativity will be there to say, okay, well, maybe this person didn't see it this way. Let me come up with another angle. Let me create another method to get them to see the same thing I've been trying to tell them from the beginning. So you can't, if you lose your cool with people, you can't create.
You can't think, you can't counsel.
You can't train either.
And you know, what it shows you is our love is predicated on our ability to detach emotionally from a situation.
That's why the scripture said the patient of the godless shall not be frustrated.
Okay.
You can't be frustrated with people because then you'll lose your patience with them, and then you lose your patience with them. You want to cut them off and quit on them.
But we get frustrated because we take people too personal.
Yep.
Because we really want to control them.
Yep.
We really want to control how they operate and how they roll. So when they don't operate how we want them to operate, then we're mad at them.
We're mad.
But the thing is, you have to detach your imprint on them. It ain't about you. You're a messenger. You're a messenger to a brother. You're a messenger to your wife. How about that? Because at our own house, our temperament changes. We want more control. We think they should lock in because they're around me longer.
Yeah. we want do as I say, not as I do.
Done. You should know this by now.
Yeah, you should know this.
You've been around me for 10, 15, 20 years.
Long enough.
You know better. The answer is still detaching ourselves from that control and just letting the message flow organically out. And that's easier said than done. But that's what needs to get done for us to be blameless.
And also, you want to live your life. So it's a hindrance to have to slow down to train somebody or tell somebody something that you feel like they should already understand. So the idea of patience is gone, is missing.
Yep.
You know, because I feel like, you know what? Why should I have to sit back and demonstrate to you what I'm telling you? Why do I always have to demonstrate it to you? Well, you're never gonna stop having to demonstrate something that you want somebody to do, and you have to accept that.
Yeah.
You always have to lead by. That's what leading by example is. Okay, you don't understand it. Then let me take it over. Let me show you until you get it. And if you don't get it, let me be patient. Let me have some temperance with you until you understand it. Maybe you don't understand it this way. Let me redirect it, recreate another method. And that takes a lot of patience, a lot of temperance.
And that patience and the temperance and the work that you go through to detach yourself from the situation is how we love. This is how we show love to the people we're responsible for. This is what the Most High keeps doing. He's going at Israel hard. He's sending prophets and he's attacking them. He already prepped Jeremiah's mind in chapter 1. You're going to go right at the soul of these guys. But now we're like, okay, let's try a different approach. Let's go back door and see how it happens.
You see it with mothers and fathers. You know, when they start calling their kids names,
Yeah.
you stupid ass this, and you're so dumb and this, and boy, you act like you retarded, and you act like you don't understand, you hard headed, you don't listen. When you got all these words behind what you're trying to get them to see, they're not gonna want to learn it no way. Because what they're seeing is your reaction. That every time I ask you for help, you have this type of face. You make this
You're
face.
disgusted.
You're disgusted with helping me. So therefore, Why try? I might as well just say forget it.
Yep. That happens to a lot of our people because we can't get past how many times we have to redirect. So,
but the Most High redirects
us every day
all the time,
because we have the same habitual patterns of failures and mistakes, and the Most High don't give up on us. Yep. And He keeps sending different people, different circumstances. You can go from city to city. The Most High keeps reminding you where your flaw is at. And He keeps telling you the same thing over and over again. And He don't give up on us.
Well,
so this is the Most High showing us how He doesn't give up on us. He creates different indirect ways to spread the same message. In hopes. It still goes back to the fact in Ezekiel, He doesn't enjoy us pining away. So He gives us as many opportunities as possible to choose the right path, whether from a strong, fully attacking approach or a subtle approach. Where Moses says obey the forward or the gentle, He's given us different ways and people to get us to listen to the same message.
Well,
and that's the point.
I got this scripture right here.
Okay.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 38 through 41.
26, verse what?
38 through 41. Leviticus 26, 38 through 41.
Okay.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 38.
Okay.
And ye shall perish among the heathen.
You shall do what?
Perish among the heathen.
And the one behind
So Israel shall perish among the heathen.
Yeah,
mean lose vigor, lose strength, lose the connection to the Father among these foreign influences. Read on.
And the land of your enemies shall eat you up.
And the land of your enemies shall eat you up. Mean the culture of our adversaries is going to be completely in opposition to our natural spiritual being. Like in America. I would say the sexual culture of America, the financial culture of America, and the educational culture of America all pulls us and deviates us from the scriptures. Read.
And they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity in your enemy's land.
And so now, not only you're in a contrary landmass with a contrary culture, you're still perishing and diminishing in your own personal flaws, in your own personal defects, in your own personal weaknesses. Read on.
And also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them.
So now we're in Leviticus 26 and verse what?
39.
39. It says, and also, not only in your own personal defects, and not only with the contrast of the external environment that's foreign and anti-biblical, now you're going to deal with generational curses, which means the family issues that went father to son, father to son, father to son. This is the process of pining away. Read.
And also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them.
So I'm not succeeding in my generational curses, and going contrary to my family's issues. I'm not succeeding in defeating my own personal issues, and I'm not succeeding in countering the issues in the land that I'm living, the foreign land I'm living. The Most High is trying to give us the best environment possible to succeed spiritually. But if we're going to keep rebelling, then I have to go to a foreign land or a foreign environment or environment that's contrary to my spiritual benefit. Read on.
If they shall confess their iniquity.
And we're in Leviticus in the Bible, right? Chapter 26?
Con, chapter 26, verse 40.
We're in Leviticus chapter 26, verse 40. Let's read.
If they shall confess their iniquity.
But I have a solution for you. It's a very good solution. Because you have three factors. Your own personal defects, your family defects, and then the defects of the contrary culture of the land you're living in, because now you're living amongst foreign cultures and races. Read.
If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers.
They shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their what?
Fathers.
Their fathers. If I confess, hey, listen, my generational culture in this household was off, how I was brought was off, and then also my personal culture and my personal decisions and my personal thought process is off also. Read.
With their trespass, which they trespassed against me.
And everything I did was against the Father. I'm taking accountability, which we teach it every day, right? Taking personal accountability, not blaming other people, not blaming my parents, not blaming just the wind, but I'm blaming myself and the environment I was in, right? I'm taking ownership for all three of those factors. Read.
And that also they have walked contrary unto me.
And I made decisions to be opposite, in opposition to the Father. Read.
And that I also have walked contrary unto them.
Key word is I. Read.
And have brought them into the land of their enemies.
So the Most High said, I'm going to bring you to the land of your enemies, your adversaries, because we've chosen to be an adversary. How have we chosen to be an adversary? To constantly be resistant. When people are constantly resistant, that creates an adversarial relationship. Read.
If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled.
But if I have the ability to be humble and let go of my resistance. Read.
And they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity.
And this is where we're at in the class. Israel is not accepting the punishment that Jeremiah is announcing to the people. They're putting up a wall of resistance. And that wall of resistance is going to cause us to get into a worse situation. And this is the process of potting away. Resistance, the conditions get worse, and then eventually if I choose not to confess my iniquities, then he has to break me. Then I have to be broken versus breaking myself. That's the only point I want to put out about the potting away.
Okay. So let's get back. Let's get Jeremiah 36. Read verse 3 again.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 3. It may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil which I propose to do unto them.
Is if the Most High is trying a different way to get us to see the same thing. Read on.
That they may return every man from his evil way.
Because the Most High can't make you change. You got to want to change. So the Most High is going to do everything in his power to get you to see the right way to do things. That's all he can do. You got to do the rest. There's a saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him what?
Drink.
There you go. This is where he's at with us. Read on.
That I may forgive their iniquity and their sin.
If he gives us whatever type of message, you know what the Most High is just saying, whatever type of messenger you need is who the Most High is going to provide to you to get the most out of you. And this is why there is a student for every teacher out there. This is why certain students gravitate to certain teachers. Because they need this particular message to inspire them to change. This is a good thing, but this is also a humbling thing. You know what? Hey, everybody isn't meant. You can counsel and teach with the best focus and veracity you want. Your way might not work with somebody else. It might not inspire somebody to change. And that's okay. We have to be humble enough to teach who we can teach and be appreciative of the students that are willing to listen to the message that we bring to the table. Because ultimately we're just servants and tools to bring and give Israel an opportunity to change. So the Most High, like, let's sit back here and bring a water approach. I've been bringing fire. Listen, as soon as Jeremiah walks on the scene, it's over. So let me bring Baruch here now. Let me bring a dude that everybody was. You're gonna see how everybody responded to when Baruch came around. Everybody was cool. Everybody's defenses were down. Hey, Baruch, what's going on, man?
Yeah.
All these priests were like, hey, what's going on, man? If that was Jeremiah walking in the room, kill this man, kill him. This man must go. That's what they would have did.
It's crazy.
So everybody's relaxed. What do you got? You got a scroll? Okay, let's read it.
Yeah.
The whole vibe was just toned down, but that was on purpose.
Good cop, bad cop.
This the Most High doing that on a large level. So, but this how the Most High shows us love. So even as husbands, if a sister has to talk to a sister in counsel, you're telling your woman the same thing every damn day long, and then she talks to a sister and says, "Man, the Spirit really gave me some understanding today." What? What did the Spirit tell you?
Yeah.
And then it says, the sister said ABC 1, 2, 3. I said, I've been saying ABC 1, 2, 3. What's the damn problem? I say ABC 1, 2, 3 every day.
She didn't say like
But
that.
the problem is I'm saying ABC 1, 2, 3 versus ABC 1, 2, 3. And now I understand.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, listen, you know what? I can be mad all I want, or am I going to be a preacher the message got delivered? That's all that matters. So, read verse 4.
Verse 4. Then Jeremiah called Baruch, the son of Neriah, and Baruch wrote the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the Lord.
So listen, Baruch was a scribe. So Baruch came from a scribe family. So Baruch was scribing everything Jeremiah wrote, or spoke, I should say. Read on.
Which he had spoken unto him upon a roll of a book.
There we go. Read on.
And Jeremiah commanded Baruch, saying, I am shut up.
These dudes don't want no part of me at the temple. I can't go to the court. I am public enemy number one. I am shut up. I got to stay away. Read on.
I cannot go into the house of the Lord.
These guys said no. You know, you got a picture. Do not serve this man. do not allow him to bring a cow into the temple. This man is not allowed. He can go to Anathoth. He is not coming out here to Jerusalem. This man is banned.
It's like one of those little sketches out.
That's what I'm saying. It's a sketch of Jerusalem doing this. If you see this man, it's almost like 1-800 Crime Stoppers. If you see this man, he's wanted. That's what it was. This man was a wanted man. So keep going.
Therefore go thou and read in the roll, which thou hast written from my mouth, the words of the Lord in the ears of the people in the Lord's house upon the fasting day.
Now listen, we're going to read. He says, on the fasting day, that's the day you go read it. Because when you're in the spirit of fasting, you're in the spirit of self-reflection. There's a little more humility. We're going to read that this fasting day was not the Day of Atonement either. This was a separate fasting day. We're going to go into why it was. But he's like, listen, on the fasting day, everybody's humble. You get the best of Israel on high holidays. Israel will want to serve the Lord, and they want to listen, they want to counsel on those type of days. This was all strategic. And this shows how the Most High is strategic, even in delivering messages to us.
And when we'll be receptive to those messages.
That's the point. And this how the Most High really understands. The scripture, there's a scripture in Wisdom of Solomon where it says Most High judges perfectly. He knows exactly what we need, what type of correction, what type of sting, what type of solution. He knows exactly what person to bring the message, how to get it to maximize mental digestion.
Wasn't someone 12?
It's somewhere. I think it's 12. Is it 12?
It's 12.
Yeah.
Because it's perfect. It is 12. I think it's Wisdom of 12 and 18. I like double yell at it. Wisdom of Solomon 12 and 18.
It's in the Apocrypha in the Red Book, page 65.
Wisdom of Solomon 12 and 18. You got it, sir?
Yeah.
Go ahead, just read it. Just read it.
Page 65.
It's okay. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12, and verse 18, page 65. It says, "But thou, mastering thy power."
The Most High has mastered his power, especially in judgment, in correction. Now, if he's mastered his power in judgment, that means he's mastered his power in giving us ample opportunities to change, ample opportunities to get the message, ample opportunities to figure out what we got to change. That's how he's mastered his power. So before he sits back here and drops the hammer on you, he gives you all the necessary times, counsels, counselors, different type of counselors you need in your life for the message to stick. Read on.
Judges with equity.
He judges with equity. He judges based upon what's fair. He detaches emotion from the situation. He's given us everything we needed to make the proper decision, and based on how we decided to deal with the information given to us will determine our outcome. Read on.
And ordereth us with great favor.
So, and because of it, he orders us with great favor because he gives us all the opportunities we need to make the right decision. Us, we're kind of different. If I tell you twice, I ain't telling you 3 times.
Yeah.
If I tell you 3 times, I'm done with it. Ain't no more counseling. Ain't no more talks. Ain't no more communication. That's how we get. We put a limit on how many times we deliver a message, and most of the time we're not even conscious of how we bring about the message. Listen, it takes true humility to counsel one way, then we readjust another way, then come a different direction, and then come another way. You learn that from dealing with children. If you're a good parent, a lot of us is just sitting back here and we're damn ostriches and we're neglectful fathers, and we don't have the temperament of creating different strategies to deliver different messages. The reason half the time, fathers and sons, especially when you have multiple kids, why they clash is because some kids act more like you than others. And the kids that don't act like you, they get treated like crap. It's the truth. Because the parents don't have enough mercy and patience to detach how they look at things and learn how to look at things from their lens to get them to see the message that you need them to see. That takes real work. And most of us are too selfish and too consumed with our life to put ourselves in their shoes. So that, because the message isn't going to stick unless they can see it in a way that works for them. That's why the scripture says the greatest amongst you has to be the greatest what? Because you have to serve in how you teach. Serve in how you deliver a message. Serve in how you detach how you feel so that somebody else can get what they need. That's servitude. Anyway, so read verse 18 again. Wisdom of Solomon.
But thou,
You got it now. He's got it.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12 and verse 18. But thou, mastering thy power, judgest with equity, and orderest us with great favor.
He puts us in order and establishes our battle with great favor. He gives us ample opportunities to change with ample type of counselors. Even when Job was going through hell, he got 3 different counselors to help him get through his situation. One was just not tolerating anything this guy was saying. He had different degrees and measures of fire. But that's how he deals with us. And whatever measure sticks, that's the one we use. But that method is perfect. How he corrects us is perfect, and how we get warned is perfect. Read on.
For thou mayest use power when thou wilt.
But he uses it when he wants to, but he uses it at the right time. He doesn't over-abuse his power. And that's what makes Heavenly Father so dynamic. So let's get back into Jeremiah. So the Most High is sitting back here at the right time during a fast time, during fasting and prayer, to deliver this scroll to get the priests and the scribes and the princes to read. Read on.
Verse 6.
Yes.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 6. Therefore go thou and read in the roll, which thou hast written from my mouth, the words of the Lord in the ears of the people in the Lord's house upon the fasting day, And also thou shalt read them in the ears of all Judah that come out of their city.
Because you know what? This was a somber time. And we're about to explain why it's so somber. But this is a somber time. It's a time of reflection. There's obviously a presence of fear and doom on these people's hair. Let me just go and do it. Listen, whenever there's fasting that's called out for the people to have to do, it's normally a calamity happening. So we're going to go real quick. 2 Chronicles chapter 20 and verse 3. Might as well explain what's happening early. 2 Chronicles 20 and verse 3.
Second Chronicles chapter 20 and verse 3.
This is during the time of Jehoshaphat, when the Syrian Empire was threatening to invade Jerusalem. Read that.
2 Chronicles chapter 20.
Matter of fact, read verse Matter of fact, give me verse 1 through 3. We might as well do that. 2 Chronicles 20, verse 1 through 3.
2 Chronicles chapter 20, verse 1. It came to pass after this also that the children of Moab and the children of Ammon, and with them other besides the Ammonites, came against Jehoshaphat to battle.
Now that's the entire eastern wing. If you see the map, you see Moab, you got Ammon, you got Aram, you got Syria. The whole eastern wing is coming together to possibly attack Judah. The eastern side of the Levant is on their head. Read on.
Then there came some that told Jehoshaphat, saying, There cometh a great multitude against thee from beyond the sea of the side Syria.
So Syria was the most potent world power at the time. So they said, listen, Syria, which is this top dog, then you got Ammon and you got Moab, all of them are coming together in confederacy to take us down. Read on.
And behold, they be in Hazazon Tamar, which is in Negirdi.
In Gedi, which isn't too far away, and so forth. Read on.
And Jehoshaphat feared, and set himself to seek the Lord, and proclaimed a fast throughout all Judah.
So when you hear about fasting happening, there's imminent danger around you. So what's happening is the Most High is perfect with his timing, dealing with this scribed message being delivered to Jehoiakim. Because he knows this situation is sensitive. And if you bring Jeremiah in, it's going to sit back and bring up a lot of pride and emotion, and the message won't be delivered. So what's happening, just so we know what's happening in the background at this time, I want to read this real quick. The Babylonian Chronicle entry for the campaign of 605 BC goes on to describe how after Egypt's defeat at the Battle of Carchemish, we talked about that on numerous occasions, Nebuchadnezzar moved south to establish his dominion over the southern Levant. Like I had mentioned before, after Carchemish fell, which was north, and it was east. Carchemish was east of Turkey, okay, and it was in the land of Assyria. After Assyria fell in the Battle of Carchemish, now Babylon, they're fixated on working south of the Levant, okay? So it said, after Egypt's defeat at the Battle of Carchemish, Nebuchadnezzar moved south to establish his dominion over the southern Levant. What the Babylonians call today the land of Hatti, okay, the territory west of the Euphrates, the Levant. The Levant starts, even this map doesn't do the Levant justice, because if you look at the map, the land of Hatti was north of the Assyrian Empire, north and northwest of the Assyrian Empire. The people of Hatti were the Hittites. The people of Hatti were the Hittites, and the people of the Hittites were west of Carchemish, southwest of Carchemish. So when it says Babylon's going south, after they took out Carchemish, which aligned itself with the Euphrates River, they went southwest and took out the Hittite people. Okay? So obviously the Hittites migrated north once we took them out of the land of Canaan. They migrated north. So the first thing, think about this. After Babylon takes over Assyria, which was east, okay, they took over Assyria. Now they got to work their way southwest, and they got to work their way all the way down to Egypt. That takes years. That takes years of fighting and wars and reestablishing supply lines, and you fight for like 8 months, and you go home when it gets cold. Most of the fighting stops at December. You start seeing a pattern. The fighting stops in December. They go home. They resupply up. They rest up, and they come back when the snow dries up. The snow melts. Then they start the besieging over again. This is what empire building was back in those days. So this is what also caused that comfort and relaxation in Israel, because Babylon got to take over these Hittites. They had to work their way down to Syria. They had to work their way down to Philistine land, Tyre and Zidon. They had to do all this stuff where they get to little old Israel. So while they're working their way down, they're just getting battle tested from one fight to another. Israel smiling and drinking alcohol and following the idols and thinking life is okay. So this is what's happening. So after 605, when all the monies started going to fund these wars, don't forget Jehoiakim started sending money to Babylon in 605. But from 605, they were getting funded for wars to go all the way down Moab, Ammon, Syria, Philistines, Tyre and Zidon, all those Phoenician states. This is why we read earlier in Jeremiah 27 that all these nations got to bow down to Babylon. If they don't, they're going to be destroyed. Remember, we read that. That was the prophecy. Every one of the nations in the Levant have to submit. So, with all that being said, starting from 605 BC, after they took out Carchemish and Assyrian Empire, they didn't stop fighting. They started working their way southward. They took out the Hittite Empire, which for the majority part was Turkey. So now Babylon controlled Turkey. Now they're coming down south more. So, with that being the case, it says, after Egypt's defeat at the Battle of Carchemish, don't forget it was Egypt and Assyria, they both fell. Egypt went back home. They still had the south. Egypt still had jurisdiction from Syria down, because Babylon hadn't come down and completed the fighting yet. Okay? Now it says Ashkelon. The next year, 604 BC, Nebuchadnezzar returned to the region. So once again, they were already up north. They took out Carchemish. They finished out the Hittites. Then they went home. After they went home, then they come back down to get the rest of the Levant. The next year, 604 BC, Nebuchadnezzar returned to the region and launched a campaign against the Philistine city of Ashkelon, which he destroyed in a conflagration. Conflagration is fire. Why did he destroy it with fire? Because the Philistines didn't submit. So in 604 BC, the Babylonians are wiping out the Philistine Empire. Now look at the map. Where the hell is Philistines in comparison to Judah?
Right on top.
They're right to the west. Mm-hmm. So what do you think Judah's getting? You think Judah's getting worried about this? These boys are on Philistines' head. They just ransacked them, our neighbors, the Philistines. They might be coming who?
What's next?
They might be coming for us next. Now you got the prayers. Now we got to sit back here and fast. Now we got to serve the Most High.
Right.
Now the Most High has loosened us up. Now we can't be partying and drinking alcohol and being wicked now. Now the Most High got us shook.
Yeah.
Now we're outside. Now we're prayed up. So now the Most High is like, okay, I softened them up by bringing Babylon a little earlier than what they're supposed to do to take us out. They're going to come out and get us in 598. This is 6 years before it happens. But he's loosening them up. He's trying to see, are they going to be humble? Are they going to be humble? Let me shake them up, get them uncomfortable, see what they do. Yes, sir?
So it's like when a dad gets the belt,
Yeah,
and puts the belt around his neck. Like,
yes,
right? Like,
yes,
Yeah.
you see this?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's what, and they're like, oh no, daddy got the belt. You better clean up. You better clean that room up. All of a sudden, the room gets clean.
Everybody get quiet too.
It's quiet, and you hear a lot of feet scampering. It's quiet and feet scampering out. Daddy got a belt. Daddy got a belt. Daddy got a belt. Hurry up! Hurry up! He's coming! He's coming!
He ain't playing.
And that's the whole energy. This is what the Most High is doing now with the Philistine city of Ashkelon getting burnt. They're like, bro, these brothers is no joke. They tearing stuff up. They're putting things on fire. Prayer, fasting for the whole city. And this is where they're at. Now they're afraid. Now they love God.
Yeah.
Now they want to send prayers up.
You know, the funny thing is Jeremiah already told him it's coming.
That don't matter, man. Now I see the smoke.
Yeah.
The smoke can be seen. Jerusalem's on a hill. So you can see fire. It's fire. It's fire. The fire's over there. It's to the right of me. I can see it. And you see all these. Don't forget, there is that highway. Remember I talked about that Via Mars? That Via Mars? It's a road that takes you down from the north, and it goes through the northern kingdom. So they took that highway with all those soldiers and troops. You can see the soldiers. Listen, remember we read into the class about Samuel? Samuel, Philistines in Israel is like 20 miles away, bro. It wasn't that far.
Yep.
And that road that goes between, do I have that road on the pictures? Let me see. Let me see if I got the road. I think I have it saved. Give me 1 second, because it shows you that Via Mars is, I think this is it. Is this it? Yes. I think this is the Via Mars. It's that black road online. This is, Via Mars. Yeah, this is it. That black road, they took that road to bring their soldiers down. They went right through Damascus, which is in Syria, right through Hazar, which is a land of northern kingdom, and they went down there to the Gaza or that damn Philistine area, and all of them saw the soldiers whip on the Philistines, and they could witness the destruction because their neighbors got destroyed. So now they're shook, now they're concerned, now there's significant fear in the hearts of Israel. So
it's that black line?
Yes, it's that black line that goes from Tadmor. You see, there's 2 different ways they can go. But coming from Babylon, you can imagine it's coming from that west end. But that's been they take it goes all the way down to the damn Nile. But that's been a road that's been there, and the military uses those roads to get to where they got to get to. They're serving. It's like a highway. It's like a freeway. This is what they use to get around. So now, what's that?
But these like the trade route, I know it's different. The
Trades, yes. Mm-hmm. This is how items got from point A to point B. But it was also military highways.
The Silk Highway and stuff like that. Like
I wouldn't say Silk is further east, but this is the roads that was there since the beginning.
Okay. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. But these roads was there, and this is how they got down to the Philistine land. So this is north of it. This is the northern kingdom in Hazar and Midigo. So they're going right through conquered land to deal with these Philistines, and we saw it. So this is why there's a time of fasting. And the Most High, like, now they're going to listen. Now they're going to listen. They're afraid. They're afraid Babylon might come and take them. Now let's just bring a message. Let's bring us some scriptures and shake them up. This to get them. This to get them to change and come back so I can save them.
God.
He wants to save us. He does the same. He be rooting for us too. The same way. If he loses his job, then maybe he'll sit back and reflect and come back and serve me more. If I break him down and take this from him, maybe he'll come back and serve me right. If I have him go through this, maybe he'll be conscious enough of me to come back so I can be there for him. But he's rooting for us, but you got to make the move and make the change so he can come through. I hope you see this. This is really potent, and I hope we see how he thinks. Instead of getting doom and gloom and caught up in what you lost, think about where he's taking you. And what he wants you to do so he can come through for you. Anyway, Ashkelon. The next year, 604 BC, Nebuchadnezzar returned to the region and launched a campaign against the Philistine city of Ashkelon, which he destroyed in a conflagration, which is fire. He put it down in the fire. The first year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, in the month Sivan, he mustered his troops and marched on Hatti, which was that northern part of what Hittites were in present-day Turkey. Until the month of Kislev, which is December, he traveled through Hatti victoriously. All the kings of Hatti came into his presence, and he received their massive tribute. He marched on Ascalon, which is afterwards, obviously. He took it into the month of Kislev, seized its king. So what they did is they took out the Hittites up north, and then by the time they got to Philistine land, it was around December. They dislodged the king because he didn't pay tribute. Obviously, the Hittite kings paid tribute. They paid their bread. Philistines didn't. The scriptures in Jeremiah 27 said, listen, pay your fare. Pay the debt. Nebuchadnezzar is going to take over the whole Levant. The Hittites listened. The Philistines didn't. And the consequence was the Philistine king was sieged. All their items were stolen and plundered it. He reduced the city to a heap of rubble. Then he said, in the month of Shabbat, he set forth and went back to Babylon. So what happened is, after he takes over the city, it was in Kislev, that's December. He leaves when it gets cold and goes back home after he pillaged Philistines to nothing in the rubble and burnt it with fire. It says the archaeological evidence for this destruction is clear. And Nebuchadnezzar's ruthlessness in this battle scared Philistina's neighbors. In Jerusalem, only a 2-day march for the Babylonian army from Ashkelon, the Judites declared a fast on that year, on that very month, November 604 BC. And it lets you know why they were fasting, why they were so concerned, why there was straight fear amongst the nation. Okay? So with that being said, let's read verse 6 again. What's that at?
If it was November, so would Nebuchadnezzar be, I guess, slowing down in preparation for the winter?
Well, no, he was going full throttle. I guess he assumed it wouldn't take that much time to take out Philistia.
Oh.
So they went from November to December, wiped them out, pillaged them, took all their items, took their king away from them, probably sent them back to Babylon with them, burnt the city with fire, and now the Jews are like, man, what's going to happen to us? Okay? So, with that being the case, Israel is scared out of their minds, and rightly so. Read verse 6 in Jeremiah 36.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 6. Therefore go thou and read in the roll, which thou hast written from my mouth, the words of the Lord in the ears of the people in the Lord's house, upon the fasting day.
Now you can see why this fasting day has significance. They were afraid of being annihilated.
It was coming. Something was coming.
Now they want to pray. Now they want to be humble. So now when Israel wants to be humble, you got to counsel them then.
And all those words of Jeremiah was in their head.
But see, this is the thing. Now when things are bad, that's when you got to counsel. Because that's the best opportunity for the message to stick.
As sad as it may sound, but it's not until you attend a funeral are people receptive to hear the word of God. That's when it's not until the person is in the casket and the family is cried, everybody got tears in their eyes, they got the pictures up, and the lady singing on the piano, and those songs are heart-jerking songs. Yeah. Those are painful songs. That's when our people are open to hear. You could read any verse out the Bible and they'd be like, yep, yes. Yep. They're shaking their head like, yep, God is good. Yep. It's like it's not until the worst case scenario where our people their ears are 100% open, and it's not until those times that happens. But this is why Ecclesiastes, read this Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 7 real quick in the Apocrypha. 5 verse 7.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 5 and verse 7.
Read that.
Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord.
Tarrying means what? Wait. Don't. When the Most High has His hand on you, and He has His eyes on you, and you know, either you're going to be in good standings with the Most High, or you're going to be in trouble. Or if the Most High is showing you what's to come, He's showing you danger to come. Don't keep putting off coming back to the Most High. Don't keep telling yourself, I got time. I got time. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to go back to normal. Everything's going to go back to the way it was. He said, make no tarrying for what?
Perfect.
It says, make no tarrying to turn to the Lord.
Read.
And put not off from day to day.
And don't say, I'll get with the Lord tomorrow.
Yep. I got time.
I got time. I'll get back praying tomorrow. I'll get back to follow the commandments tomorrow.
Russia's only fighting Ukraine. They haven't fought America yet. So
yeah,
I got time.
We got time. we say that, but we think we have time.
There's still food in Walmart, so
Yeah.
it's still good.
Yeah, it's still good. The water,
IBT still work.
Yeah, the water's still cut on. You know, everybody's not fighting for toilet paper like they were for COVID.
Yep.
Not yet. Not again. Toilet paper's
There's
good.
COVID part 2 coming though.
Yeah.
It's
So he
coming.
said. So he's telling the severe message right here. He said, when you know you have a responsibility to serve the Lord, don't put it off for the next day. Read on.
For suddenly.
It says for when?
For suddenly.
See, the Lord always catches us when?
When we're not looking.
Like a thief in the night.
Like the days of Noah. Like the scripture says.
It's when you don't expect it. It's when you're not looking for Him. It's when you told yourself, I got time. I can wait on this. This is not critical. Our people tend to wait till it's threat level red and where everything's about to be lost. Then we want to all of a sudden turn our attentions to the Bible and then turn our attention to the Lord. Read on.
For suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security.
And in thy what?
Security.
What does it mean when you're in your security? You're in your comfort, man. You're comfortable. Bills are paid. Kids are good. Wife's good. Life is good. Food is good.
Yep.
It's when He comes when you're in your security. When you thought everything was going to be okay from this point forward.
Mm-hmm.
Read on.
Thou shalt be destroyed.
He said, but in your security is when you're going to be destroyed. Read on.
And perish in the day of vengeance.
Because how many more times do you have to get warned and told to come back to the Lord? It's not like He hasn't been reaching out. It hasn't like He hasn't been. Most I said He speaks once, yea, twice, but what?
Man perceive it not.
Man perceive it not. Because you don't recognize, hey man, that's the Lord talking to me. I got to get a connection with Him. I got to establish a connection with the Heavenly Father. I got to get back in good graces and on good terms with Him. But we don't do that. We wait till the last minute and then it's too late. Boom. And then we crying to the Most High. We're crying to the Lord at that point. But it takes something severe to wake our people up. And that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate.
No doubt.
You can let that go, that one.
Okay, so let's go back to Jeremiah 36 and verse 6.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 6. Therefore go thou and read in the roll which thou hast written from my mouth the words of the Lord in the ears of the people in the Lord's house upon the fasting day. And also thou shalt read them in the ears of all Judah that come out of their city.
This was one of the few times Israel was possibly ready to change, the people and the priests and the leaders. This was one of those golden opportunities. Read on.
It may be they will present their supplication before the Lord.
Now it makes sense why the Most says this might be the time that they come to the Most High and they all come together and they change. He said this could be the time. This could be one of the few times that everybody comes together and changes. Because it has happened at that time. Situations like this, when Israel came together during these difficult times. What did you say,
Just to note that it was all of us coming together.
Yes.
Not just the individual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, a lot of times, and from the modern church, we think it was just me as an individual. that now I'm going to be saved. Whereas this was about the nation coming together and the nation praying, fasting, coming together and being, humbling themselves and for the nation to be saved, not just individuals.
And they were together, and Mosai was hoping that this would be a galvanizing moment to get them together to change. Was this going to muster true repentance? This is what he was trying to see. Would this get Israel to get over that hump and change? This could be the time. You see how Mosai is always hopeful for the best in us?
Yeah.
And we always let him down?
You know, it's verse 3. He says, it may be that the house of Judah will hear all the evil.
He's hoping it works.
He said in this language, he said,
it may be. Then it says, if so, then I can forgive their sin and their iniquity.
Yeah.
If they own up to it and change, then I can sit back and bless them. He wants to bless us, but you got to change to earn the blessing.
Yep.
This is why I went to Ezekiel where he says, listen, he doesn't love it when we pine away, but he ain't going to reward us just because without change. You got to earn the rewards. You got to earn the protection. And these are the facts. What's that?
And that's why you said don't focus on what you're losing or the tragedy, but
God,
trying to take.
What is he trying to teach me so I can sit back here and take that message and change it inside of me so I can get the response that he really wants to give me? It takes a humble mind to even start to figure out what the Most High wants from us. So the conditions have to be created that are so difficult to force humility. And then hope. When you're humble, you listen.
Yep.
Because there's still going to be a bunch of BS counsels and BS answers, and you'll get the right clear answer. And are you sharp enough and humble enough to catch on to it?
Psalms 86:5, real quick on that, one more verse on that point that you bringing out. Psalms chapter 86, verse 5.
Psalms chapter 86.
What it lets you know also is in your life, you have these windows to get the information. You have these windows and time slots to figure it out. You don't get these golden opportunities all the time. You'll get them once in a few years. You'll get some real opportunity to make significant change in your life. You don't get these opportunities all the time. When all the planets aligned, you're humble. Life has been beating you up. Now you want to listen. You get the right counselor at the right time with the right message. Everything's aligned for you to change. We don't get that all the time. What do you do when you get those opportunities? Because sometimes your mind's on something else and you got work on the brain and you're stressed out and the message is there, you're not listening. But there's times when you're listening and you know it, and this is the time to make the change. What do you do with it? What was you going to say, Nagaha?
No, I was just asking. So the tragedy is just an opportunity.
Yeah. The suffering is an opportunity to listen. But are you going to be so caught up in your suffering and tragedy that you miss the message and the lesson? What was the verse? I'm sorry. I had this. Because, listen, we don't get many times to make significant changes in our life. You don't get many times. You have to seize those opportunities, make those changes, so you can keep growing.
Yep.
But anyway, where are we at? Psalms 86.
Psalms 86 and 5.
Let's do it.
Psalms 86 and 5. For thou, Lord, art good.
He said, for the Lord is what?
Good.
He said, for thou art Lord or what?
Good.
He's good. Read.
And ready to forgive.
And he's what?
Ready to forgive.
When you bring fruits meet for repentance.
Yep.
You still got to bring fruits meet for repentance. Everybody in church want to pull this verse, but they don't pull the fruits meet for repentance verse. He'll forgive you if you put the work in to deserve the forgiveness. It says he's ready to. He ain't just giving away forgiveness for free. I'm just going to give away forgiveness. You're forgiven, you're forgiven, you're forgiven. Everyone's forgiven. Eric wronged on me. It ain't like that, huh? He's ready to give it if you put the work in and receive it. I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. I was actually looking for something else to go with this. Read it again.
Psalm 86 and 5. For thou, Lord, art good, and ready to forgive.
Right. So he said, yeah. And when you see somebody in that humble position, go to Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 5.
Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 5.
Read that.
Reproach not a man that turneth from sin.
So when you see a man, because our people, we look at change as weak. Oh, you about to go back to church now, huh? You've been thugging all your life. Now you want to go back to church. Now you've been in the club all your life. Now you're trying to change. You trying to change now?
Now you pulling scriptures?
Yeah. Now you pulling verses on me. Now you saying we got to pray. You had the pistols in your hand. But
so now you MC Hammer?
Yeah, now we got to pray to make it out of here. So that's what he said. He said our people will laugh at somebody or mock somebody when they're trying to actually convert and make a spiritual significant change and come back to the Father. Okay. That's why he said what? Read it again.
Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse 5. Reproach not a man that turneth from sin.
He said, but when you see somebody turning from sin, you should join in with them. When you see somebody trying to get their life back right with the Most High, you should be right there holding hands with them, trying to get your life back.
You should nurture that. And you should nurture. You should sit back and give him confidence in that. Because when you start trying to change from the left to the right, you're going to get weak and be making mistakes. You're going to be falling on your tail. That process isn't easy.
And you're always going to get those Satan trying to pull back that seed of repentance out of that person.
That's true. Yeah. That's super true.
Read.
But remember.
He said, but remember what?
That we are all worthy of punishment.
He says you gotta look at yourself. So when you see somebody else making a conversion, trying to get back right with the Most High, you should applaud them, and you should assist them, and you should join them. He said because you know what, you also on the chopping block with the Most High. You're deserving of punishment also.
Yep.
Read on.
Verse 6. Dishonor not a man.
That's it. That's it. It says that's it. That's the whole point. But I'll go back to Psalms chapter 86 verse 5 and finish that up.
Psalms 86 and 5. For thou, Lord, art good and ready to forgive and plenteous in mercy.
He said he's plenteous in what?
In mercy.
But the mercy is extended when you make a decision to come back to the Most High. Then he's willing to extend his mercy even that much more when he sees that you're ready to make a change and you're ready to make a commitment. Read on.
Unto all them that call upon thee. Give ear, O Lord, unto my prayer, and attend to the voice of my supplication.
And that's why David is saying, listen, the Most High, he knows that if I bend my knees and I come back to the Lord with humility, he's always ready to forgive. He has forgiveness ready to go, to be distributed and dispensed out of his bag of good gifts.
He does.
We just got to be humble enough to call on the Lord to ask for that. But he has to see a change too. We just can't be changing in word and not in deed. It's got to be a change in actions.
So now everybody in listen, the fasting is one aspect of change. It just proved at the time that we were open to self-reflection. We were open to possibly make some real adjustments to protect ourselves from our city being burnt in fire. And like Dawiyah said, in the back of their mind, like, man, Jeremiah was right, bro. Damn it. Jeremiah has been dropping this on us for 5 years. And we've been tripping. That's in the back of their head. But still, the Most High knows that Jeremiah's here. He's going to inflame the situation. So, Baruch is out here. Read verse 7. His job is to teach the people in the cities read this word to the people and to the higher-ups, the princes and the king Jehoiakim. Read on verse 7.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 7. It may be they will present their supplication before the Lord and will return every one from his evil way. For great is the anger and the fury that the Lord has pronounced against this people.
He says the Most High got some real damage coming, so hopefully they might see. It's like this. You're seeing how bad it could get. Now it's like you're right next to a city and they're getting destroyed. Do you want that to be you?
That's want to be you.
Change. So the Most High, because I love you, I'm going to show you how bad it could get. Because maybe you're not seeing it. So not only is he he's getting us to see how our city is going to be and how in shambles our city can become if we don't change. Because the Jews, the Jews require what?
Sign.
This is the sign. It was right smack dab at them. Read on.
And Baruch, the son of Neriah, did according to all that Jeremiah the prophet commanded him, reading in the book the words of the Lord in the Lord's house. And it came to pass in the 5th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, in the 9th month, that they proclaimed a fast before the Lord.
And this ties in with the date that the history books tells in. So this fast actually happened in the 5th year of Jehoiakim's reign, which was in 604 BC. And the land of the Philistines was destroyed and ransacked in 604 BC. So the timetables line up. Read on.
That they proclaimed a fast before the Lord to all the people in Jerusalem, and to all the people that came from the cities of Judah unto Jerusalem.
And this is why. They did it because the Philistine city was burnt on fire, and they thought that Babylon was coming to them next. Read on. They said it was a 2 days march. That's nothing, bro.
That's not.
That's nothing.
That's 2 days away.
You tell me they want to send it back here and getting supplies and getting all the rice in the world out. It was getting rice and corn, and they were busting their tail to prepare the city walls. It was an extinction level event. So let's keep going.
Then read Baruch in the book the words of Jeremiah in the house of the Lord, in the chamber of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, the scribe.
Stop. And specifically, he sat back here and was saying these words in the chamber of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, the scribe. Read on.
In the higher court.
The reason this meant something was Shaphan was the scribe that worked up under Josiah. There was a handful of good men still in Israel that loved the Most High and was about honor and righteousness. Shaphan's seed, his children, were the ones that still looked after Jeremiah. When you read Jeremiah 26, when they were about to murder Jeremiah, Shaphan's son sat back here and looked after him and calmed the crowd down. So they backed off of him and didn't kill him then. So Shaphan's lineage, they were tight with Jeremiah and his family line back since the time of Josiah. And Shaphan's sons were looking after Jeremiah too. So as Baruch is dropping this information, his sons was listening. And his sons, who were righteous, were the ones who delivered the scrolls to these other wicked leaders to get them to listen to what the message that Baruch was dropping. So read verse 10 again.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 10. Then read Baruch in the book of the words of Jeremiah in the house of the Lord, in the chamber of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, the scribe, in the higher court, at the entry of the new gate of the Lord's house, in the ears of all the people.
So he was dropping on the people during the sacrifices and to the priest. Read on.
When Micaiah, the son of Gemariah, the son of Shaphan, had heard out of the book all the words of the Lord, then he went down into the king's house, into the scribe's chamber.
So listen, this son of Shaphan, in that bloodline that was honorable to the Most High, he heard this message in his book, and he sat back and went into the king's house. You look on the map, this is a picture of how the temple was set up. You had the temple, you had the outer court, you had the temple court, you had the temple, and right next door, right below the temple, was the king's palace. Now this is how Solomon had it set up. Obviously the housing of the palace was changed and tweaked over time, but it didn't change the fact that the temple was right above the king's palace. So when Micaiah heard the message, he was hearing what was being taught, then he went down to the king's house. Read verse 12 again.
Verse 12. Then he went down into the king's house, into the scribe's chamber.
Then there must have been a scribe's chamber in the same area where the palace was. I don't know. Maybe they used where the Pharaoh's daughter had a crib, and they revamped it into the damn scribe's house.
To the brother's house.
The brother's a B house side. Maybe that was it. I don't know. But there was a scribe's chamber in the area below the temple. Read on.
And lo, all the princes sat there.
So first of all, why the hell the princes hanging out in the king's house? They ain't the king.
They're the kings, huh?
That was why I'm saying it. The princes were around the royalty. Who had the power?
The princes.
The princes weren't hanging out in Solomon's temple, Solomon's house. The princes, those power brokers, were in their own little spots. Why are the princes kicking it in the king's house?
Same reason why when Christ came in and he flipped the money changer's table over in the temple. That's where business was being done at.
Mm-hmm. And the king was the puppet king. He wasn't making the real moves. Mm-hmm. He was influenced by the princes and the priest. So when you're going out to the king's house, and I see all the princes here hanging out, playing pool, why do you think it's playing pool at the king's house? That's the point. Why are they in the king's house hanging out, drinking alcohol, whatever the hell it is, whatever they're doing? It just shows the level of power the princes had in the king's establishment. Read on.
Even Elishama the scribe and Deliah the son.
Let's read verse 12 again from the top. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 12. Then he went down into the king's house, into the scribe's chamber, and lo, all the princes sat there, even Elishama the scribe, and Deliah the son of Shemaiah, and Elnathan the son of Akbor, and Jeremiah the son of Shaphan.
Gemariah. So once again, Gemariah was one of the sons of Shaphan, and so was Micah, one of the sons of Shaphan. Point is, the princes, the scribes, were all in this spot that was right next to the king's house. Read on.
And Zedekiah the son of Hananiah, and all the princes. Then Micaiah declared unto them all the words that he had heard, when Baruch read the book in the ears of the people.
The crazy thing is nobody knew it was Jeremiah talking. They heard this was Baruch's words.
They thought it was just
They thought it was Baruch. They didn't know it was Jeremiah penned it. Listen, like you listen to this, and Micaiah, which was a good man, he was the son of Shaphan, came and let all the other scribes know and the princes know this is what the word of the Lord is, man. Now it's the word of the Lord. If it was Jeremiah, that's not the word of the Lord. That dude got a problem with me. This is the whole point. When a person is telling you where you're off, now it's not the Most High's word. But when somebody that doesn't have any skin in the game says the word, now it's God's word.
Yeah.
That's how we tend to receive things and process things. So now read verse 13 again.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 13. Then Micaiah declared unto them all the words that he had heard, when Baruch read the book in the ears of the people.
Read on.
Therefore all the princes sent Jehudai, the son of Nethaniah, the son of Shelemiah, the son of Cushai, unto Baruch, saying, Take in thine hand the roll wherein thou hast read in the ear of the people, and come. So Baruch, the son of Neriah, took the roll in his hand, and came unto them.
So the princes told these men, bring Baruch in, man, and bring those words with you, man. I need to read that too. Read on.
What's going
on here? What's going on? No. They didn't. It was not divulged, and it was Jeremiah.
Yeah, I'm just saying it.
Now they want to hear God's words. Yeah. What is God saying? What's the Lord saying?
God.
Because we see the smoke over there. You see them fires from a distance? You see that black smoke? I'm like, man, what's going on? They must be suffering over there, man. What's the death toll? What's going on out there? Right? They're seeing that black smoke, and they're like, bro, what's God's word saying now? Let's read them. Read on.
It still goes back to Isaiah 30 when he said that we want things to be spoken smoothly unto us. Yeah. So we listen to the smooth counselor, not the harsh counselor.
The nice guy.
We listen to the nice guy.
Yep. That's what it is. But the Most High is divulge. Most High says, answer not a fool according to his folly. Then he says, answer a fool according to his folly. Sometimes you give them what they want. You want the nice guy? Cool. I'm going to have the nice guy give you the message you didn't want to hear. Yeah. Now there's no excuses.
You still got the message.
Now you got the message. Now you're on the hook.
Yep.
So the Most High is giving them what they want, even though how they want it is off.
Yep.
So let's keep going. Verse 15.
Verse 15. And they said unto him, Sit down now and read it in our ears.
So they're like, listen, man, these princes are like, I want to hear these words, man. What's the Lord really got going on? What's happening? Yeah. Now they're humble. Now they're humble and they want to hear what the Most High's got to say. Read on.
So Baruch read it in their ears. Now it came to pass, when they had heard all the words, they were afraid.
Now the fear came in. Now the fear comes in like, damn, man, we're on the hook. We've been sinning, and all our worst fears are about to come true.
Yep.
Serving Baal was not the answer. Sitting back here, serving these idols, mistreating the people, now it's those chickens coming home to roost.
Now, whether Jeremiah got the credit for it or not doesn't matter.
You know, listen, we'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. But now the princes are afraid. They're shook. The scribes are shook. It looks like this might work. This might work. Read on.
They were afraid, both one and other, and said unto Baruch, we will surely tell the king of all these words.
So they're like, listen, bro, this message is going up. This might work. I might consider changing. We're going to see what the king said.
That's crazy, bro.
Let's bring these words to the king, and hopefully he'll listen, and we'll all change too.
That's awesome. It's crazy.
Let's keep going, man. It's like a movie, ain't it? It's crazy, all right? Let's keep reading.
And they asked Baruch, saying, tell us now, how didst thou write all these words at his mouth?
See, they thought it was Baruch that wrote the words. They didn't know it was Jeremiah in the cut. They said, Baruch, how'd you get these? These are dynamic words.
Yep.
This is a dynamic message. Now, if he says Jeremiah did it, oh, hell no. These ain't good words. This is setup. So they're like, man, how'd you get this information? This is potent.
It came to me, man.
It came to me like a song you read. He said, how'd you get these words? These are wonderful, potent words. Read on.
Then Baruch answered them. He pronounced all these words unto me with his mouth.
He didn't say who. He didn't say he did. Read on.
And I wrote them with ink in the book.
This guy.
So he ended up saying who he was, though. He does. So he tells the prince and the scribes who he said, man, I just wrote the information that this person told me. Read on.
Then said the princes unto Baruch, go, hide thee, thou and Jeremiah.
He said, you better get out of here. He said, oh, you don't know how this is going to fly. He said, if Jeremiah gave you this message, first of all, it was very complimentary as to the information and the words that came out. And then when he said who told him, he said, you and Jeremiah better get the hell out of here.
That's bad.
And don't tell nobody
where you at. You better hide. You better head for the hills. Because I don't know how this is going to fly once the king knows it's Jeremiah's words.
Jeremiah busted everybody out.
That's my point. Everything was cool until they found out who it came from. Then all of a sudden, everything got tainted. Everything got tainted because they found out it came from Jeremiah. These are wonderful words, bro. Where'd you get these words from? And Baruch was honest. He said, I just wrote down the words Jeremiah told me. You better get out of here. They were bringing him in and talking to him and embracing him. When they finally came from Jeremiah, they said, listen, you better get out of here. It's over, this might not go well. You better hide. This is crazy. This is because it came from Jeremiah. Now you can't see it was the Most High's words because it came from this person. You have that much hatred.
That's how we deal in lots of councils in general. In lots of councils, people get caught up. They don't listen to the actual objective information. They look at who says it. And that blocks about maybe 65 to 70% of the message for people.
Yeah. I forgot who the prophet was. But when Ahab said, this dude always tells me bad news.
Oh, Mike.
Huh?
Mike.
I think it was Micaiah. Micah or Micaiah. One of them, yeah. It was Mike. He said, this guy, don't bring this guy in. He said, all the other prophets told me it was going to work out. Why you got to bring this guy in, Jehoshaphat? He said, I want to hear this guy. Man, this guy, I knew he was going to tell me what's going to work out. This guy always gives me, this guy got a problem with me.
Yep.
I'm bringing it out because that's what these priests and these princes and the king thought Jeremiah had it out for. Because everybody else told him it was going to be okay. That's the point. But listen, let's keep going. So they said, Baruch, you got to get out of here, bro. Give us the scroll and leave. Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 19. Then said the princes unto Baruch, go hide thee, thou and Jeremiah, and let no man know where ye be. And they went in to the king into the court. But they laid up the roll in the chamber of Elishama the scribe, and told all the words in the ears of the king.
So they told Jehoiakim what's going on. He said, these are these words. These words are important. Keep going.
So the king sent Jehudi to fetch the roll, and he took it out of Elishama the scribe's chamber. And Jehudi read it in the ear of the king, and in the ears of all the princes which stood beside the king.
So now the king sat back here and fetched Jehudah to sit back and read it out. Jehudah read it to the princes and to the king that was in the room. Read on.
Now the king sat in the winter house.
The king was in the winter house in the ninth month, because that was around the same time that the Babylonians were taking over the Philistines. I think the ninth month is Caslu, right?
Yeah.
I think the ninth month is Caslu. So in that ninth month, at the same time, the Philistines.
You just read about what the
Caslu.
from the Hittite.
Yeah.
That same month, right?
Mm-hmm. The ninth month was, they started after they took over Carchemish. By the time they got to Philistines was November, and they ransacked them by December. Okay. So yeah, so I think the ninth month is December in the Hebrew calendar. So he's in his winter house. He got his sweater coats and all that stuff on, chilling out. And he's listening to this message. He's listening to the words that Jeremiah was dropping. Read verse 22 again.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 22. Now the king sat in the winter house in the ninth month, and there was a fire on the hearth burning before him.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to pass that Jehudi had read 3 or 4 leaves.
Leaves are columns. So Jehudah read 3 or 4 columns about the prophecies that Jeremiah was dropping. He only got 3 or 4 columns in. Read on.
He cut it with the penknife.
Listen, then Jehoiakim was so pissed. He took the penknife and just cut the damn script and tore it up.
Oh, come here.
In the midst of the reading, 3 columns in. He's like, hell no, man. He's got his knife and his tool. He didn't want to hear it, right? He didn't want to hear it. He had to serve. It wasn't going to work out how he wants, and destruction was happening to him and his family, right? If he didn't submit. He didn't want to hear it. So read verse 23 again.
Verse 23. And it came to pass that when Jehudi had read 3 or 4 leaves, he cut it with a penknife and cast it into the fire that was on the hearth.
Listen, this guy, he split the damn scroll in half, ripped it up, and threw it in the fire. He just destroyed any chance of the people to come together and change the course they were going on. He had an opportunity to be just humble and everybody else would have locked in. Even the princes and the scribes were ready to sit back here and change. It just took him out. And he just torpedoed the whole plan. The nation, the plan, the opportunity.
That's what we do, though, when we're not humble. We torpedo people that depend on us.
God. Bro, it's really sad. It's really sad. But this is where he's at, man. This is where he's at. And he just torpedoed the whole thing, man. Because he just didn't like what he was hearing. He couldn't handle the bad news. What was that? Was that it?
Well, I was just so all the work they put into that scroll. So even though they put all the work into it, you can't take it personal when the message is rejected.
Yeah, we're going to read what he does next, what the Most High does next. You can't take it personal at all. You just got to keep dropping the message. I want to read the Bible Knowledge commentary. It says, let me see. When Micah finished his report, the officials sent Jehudah to Baruch to summon him to appear before them. After Baruch entered the room, they asked him to sit down and read the scroll. His reading caused the officials to look at each other in fear because they realized that they must report all words to King Jehoiakim. They asked Baruch how the scroll was written, and he explained that Jeremiah had dictated the words and wrote them on the scroll. Before the meeting adjourned, Those present gave a word of warning to Baruch. Both he and Jeremiah were to go and hide and not let anyone know where they were. Jehoiakim's prior reaction against Uriah the prophet showed the wisdom of this advice. The last time somebody approached information to Jehoiakim, he killed him. But before he killed him, he set out to hit. And the guy ran to Egypt, and he sent men to Egypt to bring him back to kill him in front of his face. So they said, man, this is bad news. Jehoiakim's going to kill you if you get it, so you better hide. Then it says the burning of the scroll. Baruch's scroll was placed in the room of Elishama, and the officials went to the king and reported the incident to him. Jehudi was sent to retrieve the scroll and read it to the king as the officials watched. Jeremiah is re-emphasized that the events took place in the 9th month because that helped explain the story. The story happened between November 24th and December 23rd, 604 BC. The weather can be quite cold in Jerusalem during that time of year. Jehoiakim was in his winter apartment, which probably faced south to catch the winter sun. And he had a fire burning in the fire pot or brazier to provide warmth. The writing on the scroll was in vertical columns. After Jehudah would read 3 or 4 columns, Jehoiakim interrupted him to cut those columns off the scroll with the scribe's knife. He then threw those pieces into the fire pot until he had burned the entire scroll. This is the catch. It said Jehoiakim, in contrast with his godly father Josiah, showed no fear of the Most High's word of judgment, nor did he and his counselors tear their clothes in a visible act of contrition or repentance. Remember when they were looking through the scrolls and trying to clean out the inventory of the temple, and they found scriptures? Shaphan found scriptures. It wasn't Shaphan, it was the high priest, which was of Eliakim. Found the scriptures. Shaphan read it to Josiah. Josiah read those scriptures and humbly tore his garments and went to make striking reforms around the entire nation because he read Deuteronomy 28. His son had the same opportunity to sit back and hear the words of the Most High and repent and establish reforms around the entire nation. And he said, forget this. I'm going to throw these damn scriptures in the damn fire. It just showed the two contrasting sons and how they operated different to adversity, operating to when the scriptures was telling them to change. One changed, one didn't. And I think the Most High is all about irony. Your father was humble, you weren't humble. And because you aren't humble, and your father got written words and made changes, you were given written words and weren't changing, you're going to fall. And your entire nation is going to fall because you didn't have the humility your father had. That's how the Most High comes full circle to check us all out. It's scary as hell out. It's really scary.
So it's still what Egypt was in, like Moses told us. Egypt still has a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing this day, life or death. It's still up to us what we choose.
No matter what your father did, if you don't do it, you're going to be held accountable for your actions. He just said your father was humble enough to take these words, hear these words, and make changes off of them. You hear these words and you want to just throw it away. Burn the damn words in the trash. You didn't like what you were hearing. So you know, this was confirmation. You just didn't want to change. This was that final nail in the coffin. You just didn't want to submit. Okay, you might not have liked Jeremiah, but now these words are clear as day. This man ain't in your face.
Yeah.
Now I know it's personal. Once like now I know it's personal. Now I know you have a problem with me. Now you know what? I'm gonna pull the trigger and move on from it.
That's crazy.
But he mostly gave him every ample opportunity to change, and he just didn't want to do it.
Yeah, but Jeremiah was like last week. I like how you brought out. Jeremiah was actually street teaching.
Yeah.
In front of the temple.
Yeah.
Loud, doing this thing. That was one way. Now it's in a book.
Yes.
You're in the comfort of
your winter home. Listen.
You're in front of the fire.
Listen, you got your Laverne and Shirley a sweater on. You know, you wear those damn robes with the J, get the J on it. you know he has the J, the yacht.
Right.
He's out here like this. Laverne and Shirley style.
Find
You chilling, you comfortable.
You got the hot cocoa?
That's what I'm saying, right? You get like sober it up. Man, listen, no class, pinky ring like this. Then he takes a knife and just tears it up. It's just a pure message. Jeremiah's removed out of the equation. Are you going to listen to my word or not? And the answer is no.
So what is that mindset then? Like, he just took it so personal, couldn't see past himself.
He that
It's
despises
all of it.
despises not man, but the
He
Most High.
despised the Most High. But the Most High to remove all these other excuses. This is what he does to us. He removes excuses from us. To where you're not changing because you don't want to change. This is why the Most High sits back here and always talks about Israel being a good example. Because if Israel is a good example, now what's your excuse for not changing? We use so many people as reasons why I don't change, I don't commit because of this person. I don't change because of this person.
Yep.
So the Most High removes these people out of the equation. So now, stop using them as a reason why you don't change.
What's an excuse?
You don't change because you don't want to change.
I met a brother that was in Iraq overseas, and he kept his Bible on him all the time. And then one day he said, "Man, I don't need this Bible." He threw the Bible out the Humvee. He was in a Humvee.
Uh-oh.
He threw the Bible out of the Humvee, and the same day he rolled over the bomb. Boom. And when I met him, 80% of his body was burned. His ears were melted off. His nose was melted off. His eyebrows were melted off. His fingers were stuck together like webs. And for the little fingers, he had half fingers, and they were webbed together like fish webs. And then he said he believes. But I said, when did you make this idea? He said, well, he gave me this testimony, and he explained that he had threw his faith away from the Most High. And the Most High, the same day he threw his faith away, he blew up in the Humvee. And he survived, but he's severely damaged. And now he has his faith again. His faith is restored. But a lot of times it happens that way to where something bad has to happen in order for us to click back and cling back and cleave to the Most High.
That's scary, huh?
It is scary. So when you throw your faith away, you say I don't need God, then you open yourself up for whatever's going to happen after that. And that's scary. Yeah.
And Jehoiakim sealed his fate after this point.
Yep.
Because after 604, everything cycles out of control. Things get worse. It gets bad really fast after this. Because he showed at 604 that he just didn't want to serve the Most High. So then what ends up happening, the natural course of life happens. The Most High wasn't going to destroy Israel right at that time. Listen, the Babylonian army had been fighting for a whole year straight. They were going to go back home, rest and recuperate, get themselves together, reorder their kingdom, settle up, and the next war was going to be for the bigger fish. The crazy thing is this, in Babylon's mind, Israel was small time. He said, listen, they're not the ones I'm worrying about. Babylon wanted to take down Egypt. So they went back home, resettled, regrouped, got their money right, and said, we're coming down to break Egypt next. Because they're the greater threat. That was their whole position. They were trying to collect their monies for this wave, go back home, settle up, come and finish off Egypt. They weren't even considering, because they weren't considering Israel, the Most High was giving us time to change. And then Jehoiakim made it clear, I'm not changing. Yep. Whether it's Jeremiah telling me, whether it's a message telling me, whether it's scripture telling me, I don't give a damn. Whether it's holy parchment, it don't even matter. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. And he showed the stark difference between him and his father Josiah. And this was just that nail in the coffin. This is it, bro. You chose this path. Now you got to really live with it. You're going to die by this path. That's what's scary. So it said, instead, Jehoiakim ordered the arrest. It says, Jehoiakim, in contrast with his godly father Josiah, showed no fear of the Most High's word of judgment, nor did he and his counselors tear their clothes in a visible act of contrition or repentance. The rest of the nation was ready for that. However, it said instead, Jehoiakim, we're going to read this in a second, ordered the arrest of Baruch and Jeremiah.
There you go.
However, they were hidden by the Lord, so the king's men could not find them. Let's get that in the scriptures real quick.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 23. And it came to pass that when Jehudah had read 3 or 4 leaves, he cut it with the penknife, and cast it into the fire that was on the hearth, until all the roll was consumed in the fire that was on the hearth. Yet they were not afraid, nor rent their garments, neither the king nor any of his servants that heard all these words.
And they said they weren't afraid nor rent their garments, because that's what Josiah did. Josiah rent his garment and was afraid. So all that fear that they once had, the fasting, all that crap, it was just for show. When it came down to changing, they weren't going to change. When it really came down, his heart got hardened, like Pharaoh's heart got hardened, because of his pride. Read on.
Nevertheless, Elnathan and Deliah and Gemariah had made intercession to the king, that he would not burn the whole roll.
Because these scribes were trying to sit back here and use this to help keep the people in order. He's like, don't burn this roll. We need this roll. We need to stay in the book and use this to kind of guide ourselves and rebuild ourselves. Read on.
But he would not hear them.
He wasn't listening, right? He burnt it in disgust because he didn't like the message. Just like we do. Read on.
But the king commanded Jeremiel, the son of Hamelech, and Sariah, the son of Azriel, and Shemalai, the son of Abdiel, to take Baruch, the scribe, and Jeremiah, the prophet.
He sent the goons out. Listen, these goons, go find them. Bring them here. We're gonna rough them up and put them in jail for insurrection. Read on.
But the Lord,
it was some Trump charges, literally. Read on.
But the Lord hid them. Then the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah, after that the king had burned the roll, and the words which Baruch wrote at the mouth of Jeremiah, saying, take thee again another roll.
So the Most High, like, take the roll again.
Wow.
We're going to do this again. And we're going to keep reading this. And we're going to stuff this thing down this guy's throat. He going to listen. Read on.
And write in it all the former words that were in the first roll.
You ain't going to listen. Now you're running. Now you don't want to see the words. You don't want to hear the words. You don't want this in your head. And because of it, when we run, the Most High keeps forcing us back into the thing that we run from. So you can't run from this message. You can't run from your reality. And this is what he's facing. His reality. This is amazing. But this is how he's dealing with this guy is how he deals with us. We try to run from our reality and we can't run from it. We can't escape the battles that we have to face.
That's like you trying to deliver a message to someone.
Yeah.
They're taking your phone, smashing it.
Yeah.
And instead of you getting mad, you go buy another phone.
Yeah. And the message is going to be on the phone. Because it was on the cloud. It was on the cloud. It was on the cloud. It ain't going nowhere.
I would get mad too. I'd be too mad to get another phone.
Bro, you can't get around it. And this is the most, like, you can be mad and emotional and throw it away because you don't want to hear it. The message is still here. You can kill the messengers. The message is still here, bro. You can attempt to. The message is not going anywhere until you're dead. Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 28. Take thee again another roll, and write in it all the former words that were in the first roll, which Jehoiakim the king of Judah had burned. And thou shalt say to Jehoiakim king of Judah, thus saith the Lord, thou hast burned this roll, saying, why hast thou written therein, saying, the king of Babylon shall certainly come and destroy this land.
Read verse 29 again. This is why the guy wanted to tear it up. Because the message was that Babylon's going to come destroy you. It was the feeding of the reality that you're about to go down. Read on. Verse 29 again, yes.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 29. And thou shalt say to Jehoiakim.
Now what he's saying is this. Let me take that back. Let me rephrase that. Verse 28 tells Jeremiah to rewrite what you wrote in the first place. 29 says, write this on top of what you read. This is the extra part. So you're going to add this to the book of bad news. And this is for Jehoiakim, especially. Read on.
And thou shalt say to Jehoiakim, the king of Judah, Thus saith the Lord, Thou hast burned this roll, saying, Why hast thou written therein?
So they're pissed. You're pissed, Jehoiakim, because of the message. Read on.
Saying, The king of Babylon shall certainly come and destroy this land, and shall cause to cease from thence man and beast.
Read on.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord of Jehoiakim, king of Judah.
So he's like, listen, you're pissed off because you don't like the fact that I'm telling you as the Most High that the king of Babylon is going to destroy the land. And he's going to sit back and destroy man and beast. You don't like that message. You can't take that message. Read on.
He shall have none to sit upon the throne of David.
But he says now, on top of this, now there's not going to, your generations are not going to be in power. On top of the fact that the kingdom is going into slavery, your generations are going to be wiped out from the top. Now I'm done with you. Read on.
And his dead body shall be cast out in the day to the heat.
He says you're going to be thrown out in the streets and die like a damn beggar, poor, broke man. So on top of the fact that Israel's going to fall, you didn't like that message. Well, you really ain't going to like this next message. Your generations aren't going to be in power, and you're going to die outside of the damn city. The rumor is that when Nebuchadnezzar came in 598 BC, he took him and threw him over the wall. Like in Braveheart?
Yeah.
When the punk prince got thrown out?
Yeah.
Listen, that was it, bro. No, it was the prince's boyfriend.
Oh yeah.
Remember long six is like, so tell me, what is your strategy on the war? He played it so cool. Like, this guy acted like he had a vision. He knew war. You wearing silk every day, but you don't know nothing about war. Long Shank had all that metal, war-torn lions on him, and this dude's walking around in silk. He got ideas. He want to press like this. I got ideas about the war. You ain't got no ideas about nothing. But getting thrown out of this damn roof.
And the way it sounded like at the window?
Yeah. Oh, Father! Long Shank was like, listen, bro, I'm going to tell you, man. I was tired of this shit. Anyway, so what are we saying? What are we saying again? And that the Most High is now he's doubling down. You didn't like the message that Israel was going to fall? And if you didn't change, now the message gets worse. You're going to die like a dog, like a commoner, and your children aren't going to see the throne. Don't forget, his son Jeconiah only was in power for 3 months. He didn't even get settled into the damn chair. He got ousted. So he's like, this is what's going to happen because of your rebellion and your lack of a resistance to listening. Now these things got to happen to you now. Read on.
Jeremiah chapter 36 and verse 30. Therefore thus saith the Lord of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, He shall have none to sit upon the throne of David, and his dead body shall be cast out in the day to the heat.
So this is the extra prophecies that's added on to this next scroll. Read on.
And in the night to the frost.
Mm-hmm.
And I will punish him and his seed and his servants for their iniquity.
He says, I'm gonna destroy you. I'm gonna destroy your servants. Everybody that was yes manning you and telling you everything's gonna be okay, they're dying too. Everybody you're confederate with is dying. There's gonna be no survivors of this cast of characters. Read on.
And I will bring upon them and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem and upon the men of Judah all the evil that I have pronounced against them, but they hearken not.
God.
Then took Jeremiah another roll and gave it to Baruch the scribe, the son of Neriah, who wrote therein from the mouth of Jeremiah all the words of the book of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, had burned in the fire. And there were added besides unto them many light words.
And that's where it went. And there's more. There's obviously more to it, but I think for the day we stop off with that unless there's some questions we got. Like I said, that's a lot of information, man. It's scary, but hopefully, when you see how the history kind of ties in with how we're operating in Jerusalem, we have a better understanding as to how the Most High was thinking. This is why we take the time to go into these classes. We have to learn how the Most High thinks. And the Most High was giving Jehoiakim and the nation a chance to change and come back to the Most High. And for the umpteenth time, we blew it. We kept blowing the lessons. We kept missing the point. Let's not do that in our lives. Most High speaketh once, yet twice, yet man perceiveth it not. But once we don't perceive it, how many times is he going to speak to us before he does to us like he did to Jehoiakim? That's a real thing. Most High is merciful. Most High does love us. But you know, the Most High does say after a certain time, there's no more sacrifice for sins. That's Hebrews 10:26. If we keep sinning willfully, do what we want to do without listening and making adjustments. So let's not act like we have all the time in the world. Let's start making changes sooner than later. All right? All right. Israel, Amajim Wapunya, Yerah Shalom.
Stand and face Jerusalem.
Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, please listen to us right now. Send Michael and the righteous angels to watch over, bless, heal, protect, and make strong the people of Yasharallah. Also send unto us much wisdom, much knowledge, much understanding, much patience, much faith, much brotherhood, and much love, spiritual power, and forgive all of our sins. Yahweh shall come quickly, for in thee is our hope, always and forever. Amen. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the law.
Make sure your foot doesn't hit the thing.
Watch the camera.
Just letting you know your foot's real close. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Let's do it again. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the light to see.
God, Salakia. Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the ram's horn to call the people.
Barakatah Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. Shaman, Zayat, Ramashah, Yasharallah.
Blessed are you, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh Shai, that gives us the olive oil to anoint Israel.
Psalms 92.
Psalm 92. I'm sorry.
It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord.
It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord.
And to sing praise unto thy name.
And to sing praise unto thy name.
O Yahweh. To show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
Show forth thy loving kindness in the morning.
And thy faithfulness every night.
And thy faithfulness every night.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
Upon an instrument of 10 strings.
And upon the psaltery.
And upon the psaltery.
Upon the harp.
Upon the harp.
With the solemn sound.
With the solemn sound.
For thou Yahweh hast made me glad through thy work.
Has made me glad through thy works.
I will triumph in the works of thy hands.
In the works of thy hands.
O Yahweh, how great are thy works.
How great are thy works.
And thy thoughts are very deep.
And thy thoughts are very deep.
A brutish man knoweth not.
A brutish man knoweth not.
Neither doth the fool understand this.
Neither doth the fool understand this.
When the wicked spring is the grass.
When the wicked spring is the grass.
And when all the workers of iniquity do flourish.
And when all the workers of iniquity do flourish.
It is that they should be destroyed forever.
It is that they should be destroyed forever.
But thou, Yahweh, art most high forevermore.
Art most high forevermore.
For lo, thy enemies,
For lo, thy enemies,
O Yahweh, for lo, thy enemies,
for lo, thy enemies
shall perish.
shall perish.
All the workers of iniquity
All the works of iniquity
shall be scattered.
shall be scattered.
But my horn shalt thou exalt,
My horn shall not exalt,
like the horn of a unicorn.
like the horn of a unicorn.
I shall be anointed with fresh oil.
I shall be anointed with fresh oil.
Mine eye also shall see.
Mine eye also shall see.
My desire on my enemies.
On my enemies.
And my ears shall hear.
My ears shall hear.
My desire of the wicked
Of the wicked
that rise up against me.
that rise up against me.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree.
The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree.
He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon.
He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon.
Those that be planted in the house of the Lord
Those that be planted in the house of the Lord
shall flourish in the courts of our power.
shall flourish in the courts of our power.
They shall still bring forth fruit in old age.
They shall still bring forth fruit in old age.
They shall be fat and flourishing.
They shall be fat and flourishing.
To show that the Lord is upright.
To show that the Lord is upright.
He is my rock.
He is my rock.
And there is no unrighteousness in him.
And there is no righteousness in him.
By Hashem Yahushua.
By Hashem Yahushua.
Psalms 133. Shayar.
Shayar.
Hama'ayawa.
Hama'ayawa.
La Duwad.
La Duwad.
Hana.
Hana.
Ma.
Ma.
Tawab.
Tawab.
Wama.
Wama.
Na'ayam.
Na'ayam.
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
Akim.
Akim.
Gam.
Gam.
Yachad.
Yachad.
Hashaman.
Hashaman.
Hatawab.
Hatawab.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Harash.
Harash.
Yarad.
Yarad.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Hazakwan.
Hazakwan.
Zakwan.
Zakwan.
Aharan.
Aharan.
Shayarad.
Shayarad.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Paya.
Paya.
Marawaf Yawa.
Marawaf.
Qatar.
Qatar.
Karamwan.
Karamwan.
Shayarad.
Shayarad.
Ayo.
Ayo.
Hararia.
Hararia.
Tazayawan.
Tazayawan.
Kaya.
Kaya.
Sham.
Sham.
Tazawa.
Tazawa.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Af.
Af.
Habaraka.
Habaraka.
Kayayo.
Kayayo.
Ai.
Ai.
Harwalam.
Harwalam.
Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Ba'ashem Yahushua. Psalms 133 in English. Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life evermore. Amen.
Aman. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
Rakhneo.
Rakhneo.
Rashralim.
Rashralim.
Rabiah.
Rabiah.
Support.
Support.
Turn. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
Rakhneo.
Rakhneo.
Rashralim.
Rashralim.
Rabiah.
Rabiah.
Support.
Support.
Turn. Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
Rakhneo.
Rakhneo.
Rashralim.
Rashralim.
Rabiah.
Rabiah.
Support.
Support.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
Rakhneo.
Rakhneo.
Rashralim.
Rashralim.
Rabiah.
Rabiah.
Support. Barak Yahweh.
Barak Yahweh.
Barak Yahushua.
Barak Yahushua.
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 All knowledge,
All knowledge.
all wisdom,
All wisdom.
all understanding,
All understanding.
all mercy,
All mercy.
all patience,
All patience.
all power
All power.
from Yahweh.
From Yahweh.
All power
All power.
from Yahweh.
From Yahweh.
All power
All power.
from Yahweh.
From Yahweh.
Ba'ashem.
Ba'ashem.
Yahushua.
Yahushua.
The water from Yah.
Yah.
Aman. Circle up.
All right, so what we did when we did the four corners, we asked the Most High in the name of Christ to bless us, Barak Lanawa, to bless us and watch over, to bless over all the house of books and all the schools that teach this truth in every direction. And that's why we said that prayer from the east to the south to the west and then back to the north. And then we finished our prayer back to the east. And if somebody give me Romans chapter 16, verse 16 real quick.
Romans chapter 16, verse 16. Salute one another with an holy kiss.
So the scripture says that we're supposed to salute one another with the holy kiss. We salute one another, but we just don't give each other physical kisses. But we will give each other a salutation or a salute or a blessing. So what we're going to do now is ask the Most High to bless each one of the brothers. And then we're going to ask the Most High to bless and watch over the sisters. All right? So Dawiyah's going to do this.
Dawiyah do it.
Saluting out in the heavenly order, Yahweh, Yahushua, Wakashara, men of Israel, much Baruch. Up top. Turn and face sisters. Sisters, please stand. Saluting out the daughters of Zion, men of Israel, Mujum, Baruch.
Yes, Matap. Dismissed. Fall out. All right, Israel. Go on up, tune in. See y'all on Monday. All right. Shalom.